Chapter 370. This comment gained the approval of many people. Yeah, cats are so adorable. Would anyone hate cats? To be honest, old Mr. Xiang has 4 grandsons. Why would he fancy one granddaughter? In ancient times, Xiangyi wouldn't even be listed in the genealogy. Haha, did you guys just realize? I could tell long ago that Xiangyi's grandfather has been pulling a long face towards the vase fairy. He obviously doesn't like her. As soon as those comments were posted, they were rebutted by Xiangyi's fans. TSK, you guys found out again. What's wrong with the person who mentioned the genealogy? Times have changed, you've forgotten about it early in the morning. It's just a sentence, yet you're imagining so much. Some people really have nothing better to do. It's not like it's written all over your face. There was a strong smell of gunpowder in the comments. Nowadays, the live stream industry was very developed and the stress that had nowhere to be released in reality was easily vented on the internet. In reality, the mistakes of others could still be tolerated. However, in the online world, as long as there was a slight flaw, they would deal a heavy blow. Xiangyi coaxed Xiao Naofu for a while before placing it on the ground. Xiangyin immediately said, "Go wash your hands. Use disinfectant and hand sanitizer. Wash your palms as well as the back of your hands. Pets had germs on them and it would be bad if they got infected." His granddaughter's health was the most important thing in the world. When everyone heard his words, they felt that Xiangyin was being too strict. Got it, Grandpa. Xiangyi obediently went to wash her hands. After washing up, she picked up her chopsticks and ate 2 mouthfuls of food. Xiangyin began to nitpick again. Tie your hair up. It's covering your eyes. Xiangyi had her hair tied up in a bun, but she left her fringe slightly long because she hadn't cut it in a while. It can't be tied up. She gestured to the length and suddenly found a small hair clip to clip her fringe up, revealing her fair and smooth head. There was a trace of satisfaction in Xiangyin's eyes. Yes, my granddaughter looks the best when her hair is tied up. In the live stream, Xiangyin's grandfather is so fierce. I'm shivering in front of the screen. It's true that he hates her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so picky. Why does it feel so real? My mom also likes to let me comb my hair up to reveal my forehead. However, even though some people were cursing, they were watching with more enthusiasm than anyone else. After the meal, Zhongyi and Jiangjiang had the habit of taking an afternoon nap, but when Jiangjiang heard that Xiangyin was going to make malt candy, she skipped her afternoon nap and instead scurried over to Xiangyin's side to watch him. Little Rabbit Farm had sent some half-finished products over. The old man sat in the pavilion, leisurely boiling maltose in a small pot. A gentle breeze blew past, and the flowers by the pavilion fell. The green hills in the distance were faintly discernible. In the courtyard, a few ducks passed by the pond. The scene was beautiful and poetic. There were fewer bullet screen comments in the live broadcast room. Everyone was enjoying the tranquility and warmth of the moment. The old master's movements were skillful, and it was obvious that he had done this many times in the past. He used a slender piece of wood chopped from bamboo to boil a round maltose candy. It looked like a lollipop and handed it to Jiangjiang. "Baby, take it." "Thank you, Grandpa." Jiangjiang hugged the maltose candy happily and licked it. It was sweet and warm. She said incoherently, "Yummy." When the netizens saw this scene, they were a little envious. "Xiangyin is so nice," some haters sneered. "Even his biological granddaughter doesn't receive such treatment. Seems like someone is really annoying." However, Xiangyin hummed a tune and took out a new piece of wood. He spun it, and the maltose candy in his hand grew larger and larger. The netizens began to feel that something was amiss. Chapter 371. The bright, light yellow maltose candy was emitting steam. Gradually, the candy ball in Xiangyin's hand became several times larger than the one he gave to Jiangjiang just now. Xiangyin picked it up and looked at it, but he still felt that it wasn't enough. Hence he put it in the pot and spun it a few more times. "This is for Jiangjiang, right? Jiangjiang is so cute, it's normal for her to be popular with elders." As soon as the pop-up comments appeared, Xiangyin held the maltose candy and yelled, "Old woman, have some candy." Madame Xiang and Xiangyi were drinking flower tea in front of the French window. Hearing his words, they smirked and said, "This old man's voice is too loud." The netizens were dumbfounded. They were caught off guard by their public display of affection. Madame Xiang tucked her hair behind her ears and walked towards Xiang Yin. After tasting it, she said, "It tastes all right, but it's old and sticky." Xiang Yin pretended to be angry and barked, "Nonsense! You're not old at all." Zhang chimed in, "Yes, Grandma is not old at all." All women like to hear such things, and Madame Xiang was no exception. She was all smiles. After eating half of it, she got sick of it and stuffed it into Xiang Yin's hands. Xiang Yin had been with her for many years and they could read each other's minds. Hence he calmly ate the rest. The pop-up comments in the live stream changed abruptly. "Oh my god, Grandpa and Grandma are so sweet. You can only be the king of dogs if you eat the best of the best. Damn it, I'm so jealous." Everyone was moved by the sweetness of Xiang Yin's and Grandma's love. And some even commented that Xiang Yi was too miserable. At first glance, that was indeed the case. Zhang and Xiang Yin both had candy, but she was still drinking flower tea all by herself. Without comparison, there would be no harm. Her fans felt a little sorry for her. But the haters were unscrupulous as they mocked her. Some people are just born to be detestable. I can't help it. If I were Xiang Yin, I wouldn't like her either. She's too pretentious. Up to now, the vase fairy has a perfect persona in two under one roof. It would be strange if she wasn't acting. Just as the haters were criticizing Xiang Yi, someone discovered that Xiang Yin was still silently brewing maltose candy. This time, the candy balls were even bigger. Not only was it big, but he also continuously molded it into shape. Not long after, a round, bunny-shaped maltose candy appeared in his palm. The old man looked at it and felt that it was not enough, so he continued to carve it carefully with a bamboo stick. After a long while, the old man was finally satisfied. The camera gave a close-up. It was a lifelike little rabbit, cute and delicate. Rabbit? It can't be that coincidental. The next moment, the old man's loud and clear voice resounded in the courtyard. "Good rabbit." The netizens were speechless. Earphone fans were almost deafened. "Grandpa, your voice almost sent me away. Did I hear that right?" The old master called her little bunny? Under everyone's incredulous eyes, Xiang Yi walked briskly into the pavilion. "Grandpa," Xiang Yi said softly, "is this for me?" The old man had a sullen expression on his face, as if he wasn't the one who had called her good tutu just now. He handed the tutu maltose candy to Xiang Yi and said coldly, "Eat this." Xiang Yi grinned widely, revealing her dimples. "Grandpa, you're so nice, you're the best grandpa in the world." Sweet words. The old man sneered in disdain, but the corners of his mouth curled up uncontrollably. "Is it enough? If it's not enough, there's more. I'll make you a supersized one." The netizens thought, "You call this annoying? He's obviously doting on her." Chapter 372. Xiang Yi's voice was gentle as she sat on the stool next to Zhang and ate her candy obediently. "It's enough." The two of them were eating candy at the same frequency, and were so adorable that his heart was about to melt. The smile on Xiang Yin's face deepened. Madame Xiang teased, "Hey, didn't someone say that he hasn't forgiven Tutu yet?" Xiang Yin's expression changed immediately and he stopped smiling. He said coldly and sternly, "Humph, don't think that I've forgiven her. Now I've forgiven her at most 2%. Madame Xiang said, "Last time it was 1% and this time it's only 2%. Is a meal worth 1%? Then wouldn't my dear Tutu have to cook 98 meals for you? Old man, you're just trying to cheat her out of her food." The netizens in the live stream were amused by old Mrs. Xiang's words. "Ha ha ha ha, old Mrs. Xiang is so sarcastic. Why did you say that you've forgiven her? What did Xiang Yi do?" I suddenly feel that Xiang Yin is the arrogant one. Compared to Sister Yi's brothers, he's so weak. In the apartment, Qin Wanyan, who had recently suspended her work, was watching two under one roof, as if she had been possessed. As long as Xiang Yi appeared on screen, she would crazily post negative comments, bicker, nitpick, and make sarcastic remarks. Why is Xiang Yi doing so well and becoming more and more popular? Didn't I end up having to suspend my work and suffer a drop in popularity because of a slip of my hand? Hearing Xiang Yi mention the word forgiven, she sneered and opened the private chat box of a certain marketing account. In the court in Nancheng. Today's court hearing was being live-streamed on the court hearing website. Xiao Wan, who was also known as guardian of the best Xiang Yi in the world on Weibo, was seated in the gallery, so nervous that her palms were sweating. The judge announced that the court was in session and the live stream began. In an instant, many people swarmed into the live stream. When they saw Sang-Chen, who was sitting at the plaintiff's defense lawyer's seat, the comments section suddenly became lively. "Ah, Xiang-Yin's suit is so classy. This is Lawyer Xiang's first court appearance in years, right? It's my first time watching a live trial. I'm a little nervous for some reason." The case was quickly sorted out. Xiao Wan's good friend Xiao Su got first place in the written interview when she applied for a job. However, the company hired a boy who ranked lower than her because this position was more suitable for boys. The lawyer hired by the defendant's company was also very good. The first thing he did was to change the concept of the case. His style of defense was very eloquent and infectious. He avoided the important points and dwelled on the trivial. He did not mention the gender issue at all. In conclusion, the defendant refused to admit the plaintiff not because of the plaintiff's gender, but because the plaintiff's overall ability was insufficient. Xiao Su's face was pale. The failure of the interview was a huge blow to her. Now that she was going to suffer a second blow, she felt a little uncomfortable physically and mentally. Taking advantage of her poor state, the company's representative attacked her without restraint. "We think that Miss Su has a social disorder. As we all know, a serious social disorder is a psychological illness. Our position is really not suitable for her." In the live stream, some people felt that what they said made sense. That's right. How could they hire a ticking time bomb into the company? Getting first place in the written interview doesn't mean anything. Maybe she has high scores but low abilities. To be honest, this position is indeed not suitable for a girl. Given her age, she's going to get married and have children in 2 years. Who's going to bear the company's losses? Chapter 373. While the group of people were having a heated discussion, Sang-Chen raised his eyebrows slightly in reality. "Are you done?" The man's voice was thin, cold, and low, and it exuded a powerful aura. The two people in the dock subconsciously shut up. By the time they came back to their senses, they realized that they had somehow listened to Sang-Chen's words. Sang-Chen got up and retorted without even looking at the document. "Does the first place in the written test mean that you're not competent enough? In that case, I'm afraid I have to question the professional competence of your company's interviewers. As for mental illness, that's a personal attack. Who says that everyone has to be extroverted? It's precisely because of introverted people that there's diversity. No matter what personality they have, they deserve to be respected. If the person who came in first place in the written test was a man, would you still hire a woman who ranked lower? The answer is obviously no. Not only are you violating the law, you're also morally laughable." After a pause, he sneered. The people in the live stream were dumbfounded, and it took a while for the pop-up comments to come back. "Damn, Sang-Chen is so sharp-tongued. If you're not good at literature, you can think of one sentence. Lawyer Xiang is awesome. Well said. He's reasonable and polite. It's a textbook defense." Xiao Wan could no longer hear what the judge said to the defendant's lawyer. The only thing she could see was the tall and imposing figure. "He's so suave." Sang-Chen's style of defense was just like his personality. He hit the nail on the head and was cold and sharp. After a few rounds, he had already gained the upper hand. Xiao Su, who was initially hanging her head low, slowly raised her head and subconsciously straightened her back. "Yes, I'm not as bad as the other party." Having regained her confidence, Xiao Su's gaze became resolute. The netizens in the live stream were infected, and they began leaving comments to cheer her on. A case of this level was not difficult for Xiang-Chen at all. Very quickly, he slayed everyone in the room with a crushing manner. He adjusted his tie with his well-defined fingers and listened coldly to the judge announce the results of the trial. In the end, Xiao Su won the lawsuit. Although she did not receive much compensation, she smiled for the first time in days. "Lawyer Xiang, thank you." Xiao Su sniffled and continued. "And you, Wan, thank you for helping me so much." Xiao Wan quickly waved her hands and said, No, I didn't do anything. It's all thanks to Lawyer Xiang." Sang-Chen replied calmly, "You're welcome." The three of them left the courthouse and were immediately surrounded by local reporters. Other than a reporter from a legal program, the rest of the reporters were there because of Sang-Chen's popularity. Reporters from programs such as anti-mediation, matchmaking, and so on all came to join in the fun. Lawyer Xiang, will you take the path of a public interest lawyer in the future? Mr. Xiang, are you interested in joining our dating show? Are you a feminist? What do you think of the sentence? I'm sorry for being born a woman on the internet. Sangchen was expressionless. He had no intention of cooperating with them at all. However, when he heard a certain question, his eyebrows furrowed. Regardless of whether you were born a woman or a man, there's nothing to be sorry about. There's no need to differentiate between men and women in this world, because too many people don't understand the concept of equal rights between men and women. He had a cold aura and his facial features were profound. His speech affected everyone until Qiao Wan accidentally blurted out, "Ah, Brother Damao is so handsome." Sangchen's expression gradually stiffened. Chapter 374. Qiao Wan's eyes gradually widened in horror. "Ah, why don't I think before I speak?" A reporter got the joke and burst into laughter. Smog is Sameogu, Hades is brother Sanmao, Dr. Xiang is brother Ermao, and Lawyer Xiang is brother Damao. It doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with that. The group of people was about to laugh when they saw Sangchen's cold and handsome face. He raised his eyebrows slightly. "Is it that funny?" Everyone. It's not funny at all." The reporters gradually dispersed. After thanking Sangchen again, Xiaosu got ready to take the subway. Qiao Wan grabbed her wrist and tried to leave with her, but Xiaosu pried her fingers off one by one. "Sister, take care and come back alive." Qiao Wan. At the stairs, only Sangchen and Qiao Wan were left. Sangchen sneered. "Brother Damao?" Qiao Wan trembled in fear. This nickname isn't derogatory. Only people who really like Sister E would call you brothers that. Ha! The man chuckled coldly and slowly adjusted his sleeves. Qiao Wan felt a chill down her spine. She felt that Sangchen was like the villain in a movie at this moment. She had a strong desire to live. "Lawyer Xiang, I've snatched Sister Yeezy magazine." Sangchen paused in his actions. He was a step too slow when the competition started just now and didn't manage to snatch a single copy. Instead, Qiao Wan successfully snatched the cover of Xiangyi's B edition with her fast hand speed. "Lawyer Xiang, look, this photo of Sister E looks so much like the little princess. This photo of Shuringdi hugging her makes her waist look so slender. And this photo of the two of them holding hands. Motherf ******s are so satisfied. Oh, this is so untimely." Qiao Wan scrolled through the photos and explained in real time. However, she felt an inexplicable chill. She looked up and realized that Sangchen was staring at Shui's hands. His deep eyes narrowed dangerously, and he looked like he wanted to chop off Shui's hands. Qiao Wan gulped and tried to explain. Actually, a two-person cover is already considered a very small. There were some double covers, some kissing scenes, and some seductive driving poses. In her opinion, the photos of Xiangyi and Shui couldn't even be considered as baby strollers. However, in Xiang Chen's eyes, Shui was already a dead man. In order to ease the suffocating atmosphere, Qiao Wan dug out a video that was later released by Ms. Magazine. This is edited using behind-the-scenes footage. I heard that it's from the perspective of the vampire Shui. The previous video released by Ms. Magazine was mainly from the perspective of the little princess. This time it was the other way around. She clicked on it and saw that it was still in a retro dark style. The young and handsome vampire was dressed in a gorgeous and exquisite retro suit. He happened to encounter the innocent the little princess in the forest. His nonchalant gaze slowly became extremely aggressive. He wanted to destroy that purity. Then it was a step-by-step calculation. However, what the vampire didn't expect was, he was the first to fall into her trap. Rather than saying that he led the little princess to fall into his trap, it was more accurate to say that he fell into the sweet trap of the little princess. Just right, it echoed the theme of falling into his trap, and deep in his trap. The scene changed to a dim and beautiful castle. The vampire held the back of the little princess's head tightly, and the scene of them kissing was seductive. Unexpectedly, in the next second, the little princess grabbed his tie. Her fair and soft fingers curiously and innocently touched his Adam's apple. Then, they moved down bit by bit. The two of them looked at each other. The video stopped abruptly. Chapter 375. Xiao Wan suppressed her excitement and finished watching the video. When the video ended, she shuddered and sobered up all of a sudden. It's over, it's over. Sister Yi's flirting is sweet, but will Lawyer Xiang beat his sister up too? Xiao Wan was on tenterhooks when she heard a gritting voice coming from above her head. My tutu has been led astray just like that. Xiao Wan. Huh? Instead of learning from the good, you're learning from the bad. Xiang Chun cracked his fingers and sneered. You're a dog. It was obvious who he was referring to. Xiao Wan suddenly felt that Shi Sui was going to lose his leg. As soon as the Weibo post was posted, the comments section exploded. Oh my god, what kind of amazing editing is this? The little princess has fallen into depravity, but she's also a vampire immortal. Sisters, you like her so much. Damn. Shi Sui's gaze was so lustful when Sister Yi touched his Adam's apple in the last scene. If it weren't for the fact that they were filming, Shi Sui would have eaten braised tutu. Tutu is so adorable. Wouldn't it be more delicious if she was steamed in hot water? I miss Sister Yi's cold rabbit soup. When can Little Rabbit Farm come out with a similar dish? What kind of magic does Sister Yi have to make you guys change the topic like that? Xiang Yi's flirting was treated as a trump card. And now the trump card had worked. The third and fourth batch of links were still selling like hotcakes. Those who were close to the warehouse where the physical copies of the magazines were distributed quickly received the physical copies. The cover of Morning Star used a photo of Xiang Yi tugging at Shi Sui's necktie. Their gazes met, and there was a clash of provocation and abstinence, as well as a clash of seduction and depravity. The atmosphere was full of storytelling. In the interview, other than the usual questions, there were also the two people's understanding of the story. Xiang Yi. It's a very romantic story. I think both the little princess and the vampire are very lonely. They don't have any good friends, so they are attracted to each other. Although the shooting style uses dark elements, I think the vampire is very gentle, he didn't hurt anyone. Shi Sui. I think Sister Yi is right. It was more like redemption than depravity. On the surface, it was the vampire who had trapped the little princess. In fact, the little princess had also trapped the vampire. However, both parties were willing to do so. The little princess was like a star to him. The fans of the untimely couple were completely intoxicated by it. I don't care. I've already replaced Sister Yi with Shi Sui Xing. Ha ha ha. I think Sister Yi's understanding is a fairy tale, while Shi Sui's understanding is a love story. I'm different. I can imagine the 100,000 word content that's not allowed to be described on QQ. Sob, don't spout nonsense. Xiang Yi is still a child, what if she sees this? By 7 o'clock in the evening, MS's Weibo post had been reposted more than 100,000 times and liked hundreds of thousands of times. In a sense, untimely couple had really stepped out of the entertainment circle and entered the public eye. The number of fans who were in favor of the couple also increased rapidly. Just as everyone was in harmony, a certain marketing account released a video titled, Interview with Xiang Yi's Ex-Fiancé. Countless people were puzzled. After clicking on it, they realized that the main character of the video was a greasy man in his 30s. Xiang Yi is a big star now? She's the one? Ha ha ha, she was the one who chased me back then and insisted on eloping with me. Chapter 376. Of course I didn't get together with her. How could I possibly fancy a woman like her? The man in the video had facial features that could barely be considered handsome, but his words were disrespectful to women, and he would often talk about life principles. He even bragged about how big his internet celebrity company was. It was a vivid interpretation of a phrase. He was old and cunning. Spicy Tutu Xiang Yi's fans, who had just seen the video, were enraged. Sister Yi eloped with you? Dream on. This man. I'm so embarrassed that I've dug my toes out of 3 rooms and a living room. Spreading rumors requires a lot of effort, but refuting them requires a lot of effort. There must be a bottom line even when it comes to creating hype, okay? However, the male lead of the video had probably tasted the sweetness brought about by the popularity of the video, as he soon released a second video. At that time we had already met each other's parents. Of course I didn't fancy her. But she pestered me too much and insisted that I marry her. But her family didn't agree. In order to see me, she even climbed over the wall at home. Oh yes, for my sake, she even made her grandmother faint from anger and sent her grandfather to the hospital. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just the kind of person that young girls like. The man continued to expose the video. This time he was obviously much more experienced. Behind him was the logo of his internet celebrity company. As he spoke, he showed everyone the chat history between him and Xiangyi. Just as he said, the Xiangyi in the chat history showed a strong desire to get married and frantically expressed her love for the man. She even said that she was willing to bear his children after marriage and be a full-time housewife. The strong contrast made the netizens dumbfounded. This was simply a case of a goddess becoming a bootlicker. The old fans tried their best to explain that this must have happened during the period of amnesia. However, many fans who had just fallen into the trap expressed that they couldn't accept such a side of Xiangyi. There were even several famous bloggers with millions of fans who posted condemnation. The value of a woman definitely doesn't revolve around cooking in the kitchen, let alone being a fertility machine. At Xiangvi, I hate your persona and despise your worldview. I'm so angry. It's precisely because there are women like Xiangyi that men look down on women. How many seniors have spent countless efforts to tear off the labels on women? Now, you are putting labels on women one by one and putting shackles on them. Filial piety is the most important of all virtues, and Xiangyi is a real unfilial daughter. Filial piety is a traditional virtue in our country. If celebrities can't do it, then wouldn't they be setting an example for their fans to be unfilial? I call for a boycott of Xiangyi. Boycott two under one roof. Qin Wanyan spent a large sum of money to bribe those bloggers. When she saw countless netizens scolding Xiangyi, she instantly felt that her money was well spent. As for the man who broke the news, she was the one who first found a gossip media outlet and claimed that Xiangyi was not as innocent and naive as the netizens thought. On the contrary, she had a dark history of eloping. That gossip media outlet was like a fly that had smelled rotten meat as they found the informant. Coincidentally, the informant also wanted to ride on the hype. Hence, both parties hit it off and came up with a huge piece of news. Brother Xian, do you have Xiangyi's contact number? We can record a conversation between you and her. It'll definitely go viral. The person in charge of the gossip media outlet suggested. With a look of guilt in his eyes, Xian said stubbornly, her number has already been changed. What about her family? How many brothers or grandparents? I'm taking a leave of absence. I'll make up for it tomorrow. Good night equals W smiley face. Chapter 377. Xian said vaguely. Her brothers are all very busy. Even if I call them, they might not answer me. In fact, he didn't even have the contact information of Sangchen and the others. There was actually nothing between Xian and Xiangyi. At that time, Xiangyi was just eager to get rid of the Xiang family. After all, he was a man in his 30s and she couldn't hide her intentions from him at all. Besides, it wasn't that he didn't fancy Xiangyi, but rather the Xiang family didn't fancy him at all. However, Xian felt that it wouldn't be a big deal to make use of some dramatic plots. Anyway, the hype would bring about popularity. In just a short while, there were plenty of small internet celebrities who wanted to sign a contract with his company. What about Xiangyi's grandparents? They're doing a live broadcast. If you call them, the popularity will definitely be explosive. The person in charge of the gossip media said. They were not philanthropists. They were taking such a huge risk to expose the news for the sake of money. As for Xian's life, it was not within their scope of concern. Think about it. If your company becomes the top in the industry and produces an online celebrity, you'll be more impressive than an entertainment star. As Xian listened, he was tempted. I have her grandfather's number, but I can't guarantee that he will pick up. The person in charge was overjoyed. It's okay. If he picks up, we'll write about it. If he doesn't, we'll write about it too. If he doesn't pick up, I'll write something like Xiangyi's grandfather treats his granddaughter like dirt, abandons her like an old shoe, and doesn't care about her marriage at all. Xian said. Okay then. A few minutes later, in the gazebo of the manor, Xiangyin's cell phone rang. Good luck to you, good luck to you, good luck brings joy and love. The down-to-earth ringtone made the staff at the scene burst into laughter. In particular, Li Jianyu's goose-like laughter was very charming, causing the netizens in the livestream to criticize him. Xiang Yin's ringtone is so cute. Son, others are singing but you're laughing. Director, you don't laugh at my variety show, huh? Humph, I'll lead the way. Xiang Yin looked at the number on the screen. Although he was old, he had a photographic memory. He sneered and hung up the phone. Although Xiang Yin had a bad temper, he wouldn't hang up on others so rudely. Xiang Yi asked curiously, Grandpa, what's the matter? Xiang Yin said, it's all because of that piece of dog skin rash that you provoked. Xiang Yi? Question mark. Madame Xiang frowned and asked, Xanu? Who else could it be other than him? Upon hearing this unfamiliar name, Xiang Yi, who was biting the tutu candy, was dumbfounded. Li Jinyu explained tactfully, Sister E is a man who claims to be your ex-fiancé. He's live streaming right now and he's calling your grandfather. It was obvious that he was trying to ride on her popularity. Two Under One Roof was currently a live broadcast program with a stable viewership of more than a few million people. It was extremely influential. Xianyu's move was too disgusting. He was obviously trying to ride on the popularity of Xiang Yi and the show. While they were talking, Xianyu called again. Xiang Yin was furious. Why did you block his number? After pondering for a moment, Madame Xiang said, Give me your cell phone. Xiang Yi's grandfather was puzzled, but out of the habit of loving his wife for many years, his hand reacted before his brain could as he handed the phone to her. Old Mrs. Xiang pressed the answer button and said gracefully and composedly, Mr. Xian, what can I do for you? Chapter 378. On the other end of the line, Xianyu didn't expect someone to pick up at all. He was flustered for a few seconds before pretending to be familiar with her. Hello, Grandma. I'm Xianyu. How have you and Grandpa been lately? Xiang Yin flew into a rage. This shameless bastard, how dare he mention that? If it weren't for him, would old Mrs. Xiang have fainted from anger? However, the netizens felt that this ex-fiancé was quite polite. Hence, there were even more comments directed at Xiang Yi. Many people's jealousy could be felt through the screen. To be honest, this middle-aged man is good-looking, has a successful career, and is polite too. He's more than enough to be a good match for Vase Fairy. In my opinion, with his qualities, he can get any woman he wants. Xiang Yi is just an actress. How can she have the cheek to be picky? Tsk, she has such high standards. I think she's just a scheming woman who looks harmless on the surface. If she wasn't picky, how could she be a couple with Sure Sui now? Madame Xiang said calmly, Your grandpa and I are doing well. Xianyu, how about you? Are your legs okay? On the other end of the line, Xianyu choked. His dark history from back then surfaced uncontrollably. He had indeed been to the Xiang family home before. Although he knew that Xiang Yi had ulterior motives, he still harbored evil intentions and tried to make things happen. Unfortunately, as soon as he locked the door, it was kicked open. Coincidentally, it was the day of the Xiang family's family gathering and Xiang Yi's four brothers were all there. Hence, Xianyu was later hospitalized for 3 months. Having been hit where it hurt, Xianyu said in a stiff tone with a trace of awkwardness on his face, Grandma, I actually have something to say to Xiang Yi. I wonder if you can give me her contact number? The person in charge of the tabloid media had taught him that if Madame Xiang refused, he would ask if it was because he was afraid that Xiang Yi still had feelings for him. When the time came, he would definitely make the headlines. To his surprise, Madame Xiang said leisurely, If you have something to say it in person. Xianyu was stunned. I'll send you the address. That's all for now. Madame Xiang's attitude was gentle but firm. Then she hung up the phone. Everyone was dumbfounded. Only Madame Xiang seemed to be the most independent and clear-headed person. Her smile was kind, but her words were poisonous. Since he wants to broadcast live, let's satisfy him. Instead of blocking his mouth, let's listen to what he has to say. Netizens? Sameo Guz, your parents have gone to heaven, was probably inherited from you, Grandma. Xiang Yi nodded in agreement. Grandma, what you said makes sense. Madame Xiang gently rubbed her granddaughter's face. Don't be afraid. Grandpa and Grandma will protect our good tutu. Xiang Yin was just about to show off his crutches when he heard Madame Xiang say, Old man, bring me my whip. Li Jinyu got a great shock and hurriedly persuaded, Grandma, we're still in the middle of a live stream. We can't have any violent or bloody scenes. Madame Xiang smiled and said, Why would I? I'm teaching my good tutu how to hit a spinning top. The netizens were dumbfounded. Isn't there something wrong with this? Xianyu initially refused to go to the manor. After all, he was worried about his leg. However, under the instigation of the tabloid media, he still made up his mind to go. When he arrived at the manor, the scene in front of him made him dumbfounded. The gray-haired old Mrs. Xiang forcefully whipped the spinning top, creating a thunderous sound in the air. Xianyu's legs immediately turned to jelly. Chapter 379. However, Madame Xiang even took the opportunity to explain to everyone elegantly while whipping the whip. Spinning top is an ancient and traditional game. It's a good way to exercise for the elderly. The harder you hit the whip, the faster the spinning top. Glancing at Xianyu, who had rushed over, Madame Xiang said smilingly, There's another saying among the people, it's called whipping the wretched. Xianyu shuddered. The netizens were appalled. Spinning top. Why did you hit me? Aggrieved. JPG. I suspect that Madame Xiang is hinting at Xianyu. That's probably an elegant and vicious tongue. Is Xianyu trembling? No way, right? Is he that cowardly? Ha, damned old woman, you're taking advantage of your seniority. It's your granddaughter's blessing that he fancies her. If you're sick, get it treated. Our sistery is loved by all. There are plenty of puppies and puppies who adore her. Who cares about such a greasy old man? Sure sway, old man? Thank you, I'm offended. In the live stream, some people were making jokes, some were arguing, and some were being silly. The number of viewers skyrocketed and the pop-up comments were also increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The entire screen was densely filled. How is it? Have you learned it? Madame Xiang looked at Xiangyi. The girl said with uncertainty, Shall I try? Madame Xiang then handed the whip to her. Xiangyi moved her wrist and tried to swing it twice to get a feel for it. He didn't know what material Madame Xiang's whip was made of. Just by swinging it in the air, the whip cut through the air with a crackling sound. With a whip of the spinning top, the movement was doubled. Xianyu was speechless. He suspected that he would die on the spot if the whip were to land on him. Xianyu put on a fake smile and took the initiative to greet. Hello, Grandpa and Grandma. He even nodded at the crew of the program and said, Hello everyone. You've worked hard. He had specially changed into a silver gray suit and combed his hair back, making him look rather handsome. Hearing this, Xiangyi turned her little face to look at him. The girl's skin was so white that it seemed to glow. After taking care of her body for a while, she had become slightly rounder. Her face looked full of collagen, and her nearsightedness had also improved. She could be said to be beautiful and charming. The most amazing thing about her was her calm and gentle temperament. It was as if no matter how noisy her surroundings were, it would not affect her. Xianyu's heart began to itch. He felt that Xiangyi was even more beautiful than before. If she continued to pester him, he might agree to go out with her. At most, he would just kick her away when he got tired of sleeping with her. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, a cold gaze suddenly locked onto him. When he met Shui's dark and dangerous gaze, Xianyu broke out in cold sweat and didn't dare to look at her again. Mr. Xian, Xiangyi said faintly. Hearing her clear voice, Xianyu refused to give up and leaned forward greedily. Xiangyi, long time no see, did you miss me? Xiangyi took a step back without a trace and distanced herself from him. I heard that you have something to say to me? When he got closer, he seemed to be able to smell the faint fragrance of her hair. Xianyu took a sniff greedily and said, It's not impossible for me to marry you, but I have a condition. Xiangyi was confused. Although she had many questions in her heart, she still maintained her social etiquette. Sorry, I lost my memory previously and it might have caused some misunderstandings. Drop the act. Xianyu was full of confidence. You'd better think it through. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Chapter 380. Xiangyi frowned slightly. She had never had the habit of interrupting others. Hence, even though she felt that Xianyu's words were illogical, she still chose to listen to him patiently. Xianyu said, Didn't you agree to elope with me back then? I think girls should respect themselves. If you can get the consent of your family, I can consider dating you. Xiang Yin had been tolerating it for a long time, but when he heard this he couldn't help but holler. Dream on! Don't even think about marrying into our family. Exine, you said shamelessly. I'm here now. Grandpa, didn't you say that you haven't forgiven Xiang Yi? I'm the cause of all this. I'm here to help you solve the problem out of kindness. Xiang Yin's face turned sullen. How could he really hold it against Tutu? However, he kept those words to himself and couldn't bring himself to say it in public. Due to Xiang Yin's arrogant character and sudden silence, the netizens naturally got the wrong idea. I think Exine Yu's words make sense. Exine Yu isn't that bad, right? Why do you guys always think badly of him? He's obviously a PUA. He's belittling girls in order to gain control. He's so disgusting. Get lost, ugly man, stay away from Xiang Yi. Why does Xiang Yi have to bear the responsibility for the mistakes she made when she had amnesia? Cry, cry. Xiang Yi was rather calm. I don't have any plans to get married, nor do I have any memories of you, Mr. Exine. I don't think our lives will intersect again. Exine Yu looked at Xiang Yi, who seemed to be trying to distance herself from him, and immediately panicked. How can you go back on your word? Seemingly feeling that his words were too childish, he resorted to his best means. But you're such a filthy woman. Who else would want you except me? Not only was he dissing her verbally, he even glanced at Zhongyi and Jiangjiang. Zhongyi's face turned pale and she shielded Jiangjiang behind her. He was well aware of the importance of reputation to a girl. This was because he knew that public opinion was always biased towards men. For example, if someone got pregnant before marriage, everyone would scold the woman. It was as if the man had no responsibility at all. Now that he said this, he was deliberately leading the crowd to believe that Xiang Yi was no longer clean. Xiang Yin flew into a rage. Nonsense. You're talking nonsense. He was so angry that he picked up his walking stick and wanted to break this dog's leg. Exine Yu hurriedly retreated and said, I've already said what I wanted to say. Xiang Yi, I'll give you 5 minutes to consider. No need. The resolute words came from Madame Xiang. Her expression was calm and her dress was elegant. Whether it's our Tutu or other girls, they all live for themselves, not for others to see. And your slander, in my opinion, is childish and laughable. People who don't know the truth will attack a girl because of her so-called reputation, but as her family, we will never hurt her. Don't you agree, old man? Madame Xiang looked at Xiang Yin with a smile in her eyes. Xiang Yin seemed to have been encouraged and the advantage of his loud voice was obvious at this moment. Bunny is our family's little darling. No one is allowed to hurt her. What do you mean by forgiving? I've never blamed her at all. Not even for a second. Chapter 381. Old Mr. Xiang was full of energy and his voice was loud and firm. Every word he said was powerful and resonant. Zhongyi, who was not far away, watched everything in shock. She was really envious of Xiang Yi back then when her family found out that she was pregnant with Jiangjiang. Their first reaction was to chase her out of the house for fear that she would ruin their reputation. However, they also asked her to give her parents and brother a considerable amount of living expenses every month on the grounds that it was her duty to do so. On the other hand, Xiang Yi's family protected and supported her unconditionally. Even Xiang Yin, who was so arrogant and awkward, would make tutu candies for her. He would even give up his pride and protect her without hesitation. Exine Yu still wanted to play the same trick again. Then no one wants her. Shut up. So what if no one wants her? It's not like our family can't afford to raise her. Xiang Yin retorted. Xiang Yi's heart was filled with emotions. She pinched her palms to calm her surging emotions. It turns out that Grandpa has never blamed me. Madame Xiang was much more sharp-tongued. Is the standard to judge a girl by what you call no one wants her? Come on, the Qing dynasty died a long time ago and arranged marriages have long ended. Even an old woman like me knows that marriage is free in the new era. Don't tell me you don't even know that? Pretending to be surprised, old Mrs. Xiang covered her mouth and said, Ah, are you a fool? Or did your parents leave early? Exine Yu's face immediately turned as red as a pig's liver. In the live stream, the Spicy Tutu fans were overjoyed. Grandpa Xiang and Grandma Zhu. And dote on Sister Yi so much. Your parents left early equals you're an orphan. Thank you for Grandma's online lessons. Grandma's combat power is definitely on the SSR level. Yu is at most an R card. Yu's gaze was erratic. He didn't expect Xiangyin and Madame Xiang to be so difficult to deal with. They had clearly been hurt by Xiangyi at that time, so why did they still choose not to hold it against her? That was beyond Yu's understanding. Since he couldn't persuade his family, Yu wanted to continue pressuring Xiangyi. Didn't she want to break away from the Xiang family? Without him, how could she have succeeded? At the thought of this, Yu suddenly regained his confidence. He looked at Xiangyi affectionately and said, "Actually, I don't look down on you that much. You do have some merits." Look, only he could see the good in Xiangyi. This method of belittling first and then praising later could be said to have worked well in the past. Young and naive girls like Xiangyi were the easiest to fool. The next second, Xiangyi flicked the whip expressionlessly, scaring Yu so much that he shrieked and almost jumped up. "Excuse me, you're blocking my spinning top." Yu? The netizens were speechless. Everyone's attention then shifted to the whip in her hand. They shuddered at the same time. In the cold atmosphere, a low chuckle sounded. Sue's heart felt as if it had been brushed by a feather. "Sister E, could you teach me?" Shi Sui, who had been a bystander for a long time, opened her mouth slowly. "Sure." After Xiangyi taught him a few words, Shi Sui took the whip. He had a high level of comprehension and was the type who could understand with just a little bit of guidance. After a few casual lashes, the spinning top spun even faster. The atmosphere in the live stream changed abruptly. The sense of immersion is too strong. I feel like Shi Sui is a villain who will resort to domestic violence. Other people who wield whips are men who harness horses. Why is this man so and so handsome? Chapter 382. Yu was speechless. He somehow felt that this man was treating him like a spinning top. In particular, his gaze seemed gentle but actually contained a strong sense of oppression. His scalp turned numb as he slandered Xiangyi. "You'd better stay away from such a woman. She can elope with anyone she wants." "Is that so?" Shi Sui chuckled, as if the scenery around her had come alive. "Is there such a good thing?" Yu was dumbfounded. There was an uproar in the live stream. Official announcement. Thank you for the help, buddy. You can get your bento box now." "Ah, don't laugh like that. Who can stand it?" Attacking and belittling women is not a gentleman's behavior. Doesn't make you look noble. Shi Sui said unhurriedly, "If you can't even show respect, I'm very suspicious of your real purpose for coming here to look for Sister E." There were some things that everyone was well aware of, but they just didn't say it out loud. Shi Sui, on the other hand, exposed Yu's ugly and dirty thoughts. Yu was immediately embarrassed. "I came to look for her because she said that she wanted to marry me and even pestered me." "So? Do you like her?" "Of course not, but after all, she's been pestering me." Yu began to spout nonsense under Shi Sui's intimidating aura. Shi Sui nodded slightly with a clear expression. "Mr. You're really contradicting yourself. On one hand, you belittle Sister E and keep saying that you don't fancy her. But on the other hand, you're pestering Sister E like a dogskin plaster and insisting on marrying her despite her wishes. I think I can use one word to describe your behavior." After a pause, he turned to look at the camera and tilted his head slightly. "If I say it out loud, our live stream will probably be banned." His fair and slender fingers gently pressed against his lips. "Shoo." A large group of viewers in front of the screen were stunned. Shocking. Shi Sui actually knows how to act cute. Okay, don't talk. Otherwise, I'm going to remember your name." Ha 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 ha. Shi Sui is so mean. Others don't hit people in the face, but he's hitting people in the face. Yu was rebuked until he was like a mute, unable to say anything for a long time. At this point, the audience was not stupid. They could tell that he had ulterior motives. However, there were still people who used Xiangyi as an excuse to scold her. Shi Sui seemed to have guessed the public opinion on the internet. He leaned lazily against the pillar of the pavilion with his long legs slightly bent. "Xiangyi doesn't even fancy me. Why would he fancy you?" "Everyone. Come on, you're the best actor. Can't you have a bit of a burden? How can you be so self-deprecating? Even the haters aren't as good as you." Xiang Yin, who had always found Sure Sui to be an eyesore, suddenly felt that this rascal, it was all right. He snorted. What's there to compare that dog with you? Comparing the two of you is simply a scammer. Xian Yu was speechless. It's a knowing blow. Xiang Yi's grandmother said smilingly, Mr. Xian, don't feel inferior. You're still better than Sure Sui in one aspect. You may be ugly, but you're thick-skinned. Xian Yu was speechless. Doubles? At this moment Xiao Naofu, who had been missing for a long time, finally returned. It was holding a fat rat in its mouth and nimbly jumped to Xian Yu's feet before throwing it onto his shoes. Xian Yu exclaimed, "Ah, rat! There's a rat!" He was so frightened that he completely lost his composure, as if he was a ridiculous clown. The crowd burst into laughter. Anger rose in Xian Yu's heart and he kicked at Xiao Naofu. However, a creamy yellow figure at the side pushed Xiao Naofu away. Before Xian Yu's foot could even touch a few strands of its fur, little Shiji rolled on the ground and went far away. It hummed feebly and aggrievedly. Woof! Xian Yu's eyes widened in shock. Scammer! This is what you call scammer. Why are dogs pretending to be White Lotus these days? Chapter 383. In the eyes of the netizens, little Shiji was trying to protect Xiao Naofu. But in the end, Xiao Naofu kicked him hard. Dog lovers are condemning him. Damn it, this ugly man is so vicious. It's just an innocent and pitiful dog. Pitiful, pitiful. Someone said that Xiao Naofu was in the wrong and was immediately rebuked. It's only right for cats to catch mice. Isn't it because Xian Yu is so outrageous that even Xiao Naofu can't stand it, and teach him a lesson on behalf of Sister E? I don't care, I don't care. Xiao Naofu is the cutest in the world. I won't allow anyone in this world to dislike it. Xiang Yi hurriedly went to check on little Shiji's injuries while little Shiji continued to put on an act and rubbed its head against her calf. Even Xiao Naofu was fooled and scurried over with its short legs. Meow meow. Stray dog, what's wrong with you? Little Shiji barked. Woof woof. Xiao Naofu didn't know how to speak dog language, but it felt as if little Shiji was saying, my wound hurts so much. After hesitating for a few seconds, it condescended and licked little Shiji's fur while swallowing the humiliation. Ah meow. It won't hurt anymore if you lick it. The heartwarming scene made one feel even more distressed and infuriated. Xian Yu would never have thought that using public opinion to manipulate the emotions of netizens would result in a backlash that came too easily. Tell him to get lost. Tell him to get lost. I'm begging you to whip him. Whip him like a spinning top. My heart aches for little Shiji. Xiao Naofu must be blaming itself too. You 1s1 Xiao Naofu is so nice. Xiao Naofu has taken the initiative to lick little Shiji's fur. In the animal world, that's a sign of goodwill and affection. Xiang Yi looked up with an icy cold gaze. When he met her gaze, Xian Yu's heart trembled as he felt that the Xiang Yi in front of him was extremely unfamiliar. She had changed from a vain and pompous girl who had her thoughts written all over her face to an existence that he dared not look at. I didn't kick it on purpose. Xian Yu broke out in cold sweat and continued. Besides, it's just a beast. So what if I kicked it? How can a beast compare to a human? Xiang Yi nodded. You're right. Xian Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Seems like this woman still cares about me. In the next second, Xiang Yi said indifferently, You're a human? Xian Yu? The live stream. Even the staff at the scene were dumbfounded. F***ck, so Sister E knows how to insult people too. Sure Sui answered lazily. Calling him a beast seems to be an insult to the word beast. Xiang Yi sneered. Is he worthy? The two of them sang the same tune and cooperated seamlessly. The lethality of their attacks was off the charts. Xian Yu's face was extremely sullen, but he didn't know how to refute. You're human? You've added more insults to your vocabulary. Sure Sui and Sister E have such great chemistry. They're like parents protecting their children. Turns out Sister E has a temper too. She's so adorable when she's so fierce. I want to rub her. Mr. Xian, take care. I won't see you off. Madame Xiang adjusted her shawl gracefully. Xian Yu bluffed. Xiang Yi, I'm leaving. Don't regret it. Xiang Yi rubbed the back of little Shiji's neck, got up and walked towards him step by step. Xianyu was nervous and expectant as his heart pounded rapidly. That beautiful and fair face was getting closer and closer to him. Whoosh! Xiangyi grabbed his collar and lifted him up with one hand while Xianyu's feet were suspended in the air with a horrified expression. She raised her eyebrows gently, seemingly giving him a gift. You can get out. Chapter 384. There was a few seconds of silence in the live stream before the pop-up comments flooded the screen. Picking up a grown man with one hand. I was wrong, I shouldn't have called her sister. Sister, are you a sniper? I'm sorry I've betrayed you. Why is it inappropriate? From now on, I'm your loyal fan. Xianyu was scared out of his wits and in a moment of desperation, he turned to Madame Xiang, who seemed to be the easiest to talk to. Grandma, take care of your granddaughter. She's not behaving like a girl at all. Madame Xiang blinked and asked, Old man, did you see anything? Xiangyin answered calmly, I'm old and my eyesight is poor. I didn't see anything. Shui even applauded and exclaimed, Wow, Sister Yi is so impressive. Zhongyi didn't say anything and simply covered Zhangjiang's eyes calmly. Xianyu was dumbfounded. What kind of people is this family? Xiangyi carried him a few meters away with a straight face before throwing him out and slamming the small wooden door of the garden that led to the manor. Don't bother me again. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Xiangyi had always been a good-tempered person, but that didn't mean that she didn't have a temper. Xianyu was so frightened that he peed his pants and stumbled out. The photographer, Old Zhang, even gave him a close-up shot and recorded his disheveled back view. The spicy tutu girls felt extremely relieved. That's the right way to treat scumbags. Reason is for humans, scumbags don't count as humans. There's no need to reason with them. Xiangyi took a deep breath, calmed herself down, and carried little Shiji back to the living room. Xiao Naofu's footsteps were light, and it carried little Shiji's kennel into its luxurious cat mansion before her. Meow. Meow meow. Humph, stinky dog, I'm not being nice to you. It's just the mansion is too big. I'm just letting you have a little space. Xiangyi's eyes were filled with warmth. Xiao Naofu, you've grown up. Xiao Naofu looked away, feeling a little embarrassed. After placing little Shiji in the kennel, she raised her hand and stroked the dog for a while. Xiao Naofu suddenly became envious again. It aggrievedly snuggled up to Xiangyi's hand and rubbed itself against her like a spoiled little kitten. Meow. You're not allowed to touch the dog. You can only touch this hoo-hoo. You are really a little troublemaker. Xiangyi's tone was helpless and doting, but she gave Xiao Naofu a full massage. Rubbing the back of its neck and pinching its ears, the kitten soon couldn't take it anymore. It was so comfortable that it relaxed. It took the initiative to approach Xiangyi, wanting to kiss her. Xiangyi remembered its heroic posture of catching the mouse just now and was very moved. Then she covered its mouth. Cough. You can only kiss after brushing your teeth. Xiao Naofu instantly showed a heartbroken expression. Meow meow meow. This damned stupid woman actually dared to despise this handsome hoo-hoo. The netizens in the live stream were dying of laughter. Xiao Naofu. It was a mistake after all. Shui. This is a lesson, remember it? You can only kiss after brushing your teeth. Under Xiao Naofu's heartless gaze, Xiangyi's heart softened again. She coaxed softly. Shall we kiss on the forehead then? Humph. It humphed in a childish voice. Xiangyi leaned forward, her hair cascading down, and her cherry-colored lips pouted slightly. There was a soft pop sound, but it didn't land on the kitten's forehead. Instead, it landed on the back of the man's fair and slender hand. It was Shui, who had placed her hand between Xiao Naofu and her lips. The netizens were flabbergasted. Shui is the most shameless of the family of four. Chapter 385. He did it with his own hands. That means he kissed her on the lips. Hey, aren't you going a little overboard by rounding things off? Ha ha ha. Xiao Naofu's expression is so funny, cat. JP. Even Xiangyi was dumbfounded, let alone the netizens. The calmest person was none other than Shui. Shui's long and narrow eyes curved in joy, but he said righteously, Sister E, you're taking advantage of Xiao Naofu so openly. It won't be able to find a girlfriend. Xiangyi? Xiao Naofu? The netizens? Li Jianyu's mouth twitched. Daddy sure. Although Xiao Naofu and little Shiji are not humans, You're a dog. Ruan Qing's eyes were full of smiles, as if she had seen through something. Xiangyi took a few seconds to react. She retreated slightly and put some distance between her lips and the back of his hand. She asked softly, "What are you going to do then?" Shui chuckled and asked, "Why? Are you disgusted with me?" I'm not, don't spout nonsense." Shui began to sigh and said, "Actually, I think what that man said just now makes sense. No one will want an unclean boy." Xiangyi panicked and exclaimed, "No, don't listen to his nonsense. Don't take the words of annoying people to heart. You're not an unwanted kid." Shui pinched her face and teased, "I'm 7 years older than you, how dare you call me a kid?" Xiangyi said, "Big friend." The interaction between the two made countless netizens smile in front of their screens. "I'm shedding tears of envy. Lonely, 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 lonely." I have a feeling that Shui's subtext is, "If I'm unclean, you have to be responsible for me. Xiangyi, you're such a silly child. This dog of a man is tricking you. Why are you so silly and sweet in front of him?" Xiao Naofu meowed angrily. It wanted to scratch Shui, but it was afraid of being taken away for sterilization, so it could only bark at him a few times. Little Shiji's black eyes were moist as he curled his tail around Xiao Naofu's and pulled the little kitten into his arms. Fortunately, the kennel was big enough and the kitten was small, so it was not crowded when they slept together. Xiao Naofu was both aggrieved and angry, its little paws pounding on the soft kennel. Little Shiji licked its fur patiently, not annoyed even after being kicked by Xiao Naofu. Only then did Xiangyi realize that their conversation was slightly ambiguous, and the atmosphere was strange. She looked at the clock on the wall and coughed. "It's 8 o'clock. Why don't we watch TV?" Shui always listened to her. Okay. The netizens in the live stream room were speechless. Forget about the previous hashtag "I'm watching a live stream" hashtag, but now hashtag "I'm watching a variety show" hashtag? Xiangyi went to turn on the TV while her grandparents, Zhongyi and Jiangjiang, came over one after another. The opening was a cartoon version of Xiangyi and Shui planting flowers and vegetables, fishing and catching pigs. Jiangjiang watched with rapt attention. Wow! The production team was stunned for a while before realizing that Xiangyi's unintentional actions were actually good publicity. Their livestream had such high traffic, it would be a waste not to use it. Hence, Li Jianyu frantically began to advertise in the voiceover. Dear viewers, please stay tuned to Nanjing Satellite TV's 2 Under One Roof. Those who have a TV, please support the broadcast. Those who don't, please download Nanjing TV. While he was speaking, the show began. Although countless netizens were teasing Li Jianyu, they still switched on the TV and downloaded the software. The production team of Eating Well for All 3 Meals almost fainted from anger when they found out about this. Chapter 386. Why didn't we think of such a simple, effective, and direct publicity method? In the group chat of Muyao TV, the director sent a voice message and flew into a rage. Are you all idiots? How can you not think of this? The others were complaining incessantly. Before Ruan Qing left, she had actually done the work of several people on her own, and her completion rate was particularly high. As soon as she left, it was no exaggeration to say that the planning department and the publicity department were half paralyzed. They were leaderless and their work efficiency was extremely low. Only now did they begin to regret it. How great would it be if Ruan Qing hadn't left? Wouldn't I have pushed all the work to her? Wouldn't I have been the scapegoat? On the other hand, Xiangyi began to get restless after watching the introduction. She hadn't watched much of 2 Under One Roof, but now it seemed that she didn't have a good sense of camera angles in the first episode. She looked like she wasn't very smart. Why don't we change the channel? Xiangyi said seriously. Let's watch the news and find out about national affairs. Madame Xiang exclaimed. This is so interesting. Our dear Tutu is on TV, she's so impressive. I'm going to post this on my WeChat moments. Xiang Yin said. Listen to your grandma. Xiangyi said. Okay. The netizens were appalled. Ha ha ha, large-scale public execution. Sister E, did you grow up eating cuteness? Turns out grandma is the person with the highest status in the family. The first episode was edited by Li Jianyu himself, and the title was, The Most Valuable Thing in Life is Friends. There were 2 main plots, one of which was between Shui and director Yan. Director Yen was both Shi Sui's talent scout and a good friend of Shi Sui's. When old friends reunited, this plot was heartwarming. When they talked about the past, there were also plenty of old songs that could make the audience think of their good friends in a comfortable atmosphere. The other plot was between Xiangyi and Yan Nai. At first, Yan Nai was hostile towards Xiangyi, but soon he vividly displayed what it meant to be sweet. This plot was a lot more interesting. The scene where Xiangyi reconciled with the father and son was also very contagious. Although it was about daily life, the pace of the editing was very tight. After an hour and a half, it made people feel that it was not enough. This variety show was too interesting. What? The second episode will only be broadcasted next week? Many people beat their chests and stamped their feet. In the end, they found out that this was actually a live broadcast program. In an instant, many new viewers who had been attracted by television flooded into the live broadcast room. The director's room was filled with all sorts of equipment and instruments. Li Jianyu and the others refreshed the online version's views. 160 million. The production team! Exclamation point. It exploded. This was an explosive number. Soon Ruanqing went out to answer a call. When she returned, she said calmly, "The viewership ratings are out." "How much?" Li Jianyu was the first to ask. He grabbed his hair again. Don't tell me. I don't dare to listen. Although the online version's numbers were good, if the viewership ratings were too low, he would still feel frustrated. Ruanqing smiled. "It is indeed an unbelievable number." I'm not listening. Ruanqing ignored him and said to the crowd, "The average viewership rating is 2.18 and the highest is 2.46. All of a sudden, there were cheers in the small room. At the same time, Miao TV had also received the news. The viewership ratings for the premiere of Eating Well for all 3 meals yesterday were the highest at 1.8, but later on the average viewership ratings dropped to about 1.6. Meanwhile, the viewership ratings for 2 Under One Roof had exceeded 2. This was like rubbing them against the ground. Chapter 387. Moreover, Eating Well for all 3 meals had a high viewership rating in the first few minutes of the broadcast, but it gradually decreased later on. On the other hand, 2 Under One Roof was steadily increasing in viewership. Several famous scenes such as Crayfish Out of the Pot, Yan Nai Smells Delicious, and Xiangyi Plays the Sanxian had reached a peak in viewership ratings. Even at the end of the credits, the viewership ratings were still astonishingly high. Using the word hang and beat to describe it was the most appropriate. There were more than a dozen trending topics on Weibo, gossip forums, and WeChat moments. Countless people finally realized 2 Under One Roof was not just the first live-streamed variety show. It was likely to become the most popular variety show in the country this summer. In the small room, Li Jianyu's cell phone was almost exploding with calls from brands who wanted to invest in the show. Fortunately, Ruanqing was already prepared. She transferred his number to her 2 assistants' cell phones, thus giving her some time to relax. Li Jianyu smiled foolishly like a landlord's son and said, "It feels so good to have a sugar daddy chasing after me and vying to give me money. It's like a free lunch falling from the sky, right into my mouth." Ruanqing said, "You're too familiar with calling me daddy." Li Jianyu said righteously, "I'm your daddy if I give you money." Hearing this, Ruanqing took out a bill from her bag and slapped it on Li Jianyu's palm. She smiled and said, "Call me daddy." Li Jianyu said shyly, I'm so embarrassed." "Give it back to me then," Ruanqing said, pretending to take the money back. Li Jianyu immediately corrected himself. "Daddy Ruan, you have to keep your word." Ruanqing touched her chin and said, "So that's how it feels. Call me daddy again." "Indeed, it feels pretty good. Do I have to call you daddy just because you want me to? That'll be another price." Li Jianyu said seriously. Ruanqing was speechless. It was getting late at night. Xiangyi and Madame Xiang had a regular routine and the 2 of them went to rest early. Jiangjiang kept rubbing her eyes. After Zhongyi helped her wash up, she couldn't fall asleep and thus returned to the living room. By the floor-to-ceiling window, Shi Sui was reading a book. The warm light blended a warm glaze on his handsome face, softening the contours of his whole person. He was completely different from the sharp and paranoid state he had been in during the filming of the movie. Xiangyi was brushing Xiao Naofu's teeth. After carefully brushing his teeth twice, the little cat was already sleepy and was properly placed into a soft and fluffy cat bed. Good night, Xiao Naofu. Little Shiji licked her palm while Xiangyi rubbed the Shiba Inu's head. Good night, little Shiji. Zhongyi looked at her in surprise. She seemed to understand why Shui treated Xiangyi differently. The most irresistible thing in this world was gentleness. Senior Zhong. Xiangyi saw her and took the initiative to greet her. Do you want to eat supper? The audience, who thought that the live stream was about to end, suddenly wailed. Stop. Stop it. Gain 3 pounds every time you live stream. Sister E, are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Do you want supper? Little Vase, do you see that man by the window? Can't you go and get lovey-dovey with him? All you do is cook all day long. I'm so angry. Zhongyi was stunned for a moment and somehow relaxed. Do you have wine? Shui, who was reading, glanced over casually. A certain drunkard's eyes lit up. Yes, yes. A few minutes later, Xiangyi happily came out of the kitchen with shredded squid and some side dishes. Shui was waiting at the door. He looked at her with a smirk. Chapter 388. Seeing him, Xiangyi inexplicably felt a little guilty. Sister E, are you going to drink with someone? Shui asked calmly. Xiangyi knew that he couldn't drink today because he had work the next morning. She tried to figure out what he was thinking. Are you jealous of us? The netizens were dumbfounded. Sister E, what kind of dangerous statement is that? Ha 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 ha, what kind of cutie is this? Uh-huh? Pretty sister x pretty sister? That seems a little fun. Shui looked a little helpless. You. He sighed. Drink less. Okay. Xiangyi took a few steps out with the tray and suddenly thought of something. She turned around and said, There's still a lot of wine in the cellar. I'll treat you to some next time. Shui chuckled and said, Okay. I'll remember that. Zhongyi realized that Xiangyi had suddenly become enthusiastic. After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, she had already developed an astute mind, and it wasn't difficult for her to guess the reason for Xiangyi's change in attitude. It turned out that she liked drinking. Senior, try this shredded squid. It's fragrant and a little salty. It's also very chewy and slightly springy. Just listening to her description made Zhongyi salivate. She maintained the elegance and restraint of a female celebrity, and only put a thin strand of squid into her mouth. Hey, it's actually so delicious. Xiangyi began to recommend something else to her. These peanuts are wrapped in flour and egg. It's sweet and the egg fragrance is just right. Although it's fried, it's not greasy at all. Zhongyi tried one. Hence, 2 minutes later, Zhongyi's image as a female celebrity was completely gone. She sat cross-legged on the ground with her hair tied into a bun. She took a sip of food and wine, looking like a swordswoman. In the live stream, Xiangyi, go on the link if you can. I think Xiangyi has the potential to be a mukbang streamer. Just listening to her description is making me hungry. Sister Zhongyi, where's your expression management? Where's your celebrity image? Where's your glamorous persona? Shui didn't join them. She sat quietly by the window and read. At first, the two girls were a little unfamiliar with each other. But they soon became familiar with each other. Zhongyi raised her glass. World peace, no more scumbags. Xiangyi clinked glasses with her, making a crisp sound. Sometimes girls' friendship was just that simple. If you and I were on the same side and liked or hated the same person or thing, then we would be sisters from different mothers. Li Jinyu thought that it would be nice to stop there when the live stream was supposed to end, but Ruanqing signaled for him to continue. What if the car flips? No, it's a woman's intuition. Seeing that Li Jinyu was about to speak, Ruanqing choked him with one sentence. If I'm the boss, then you're the boss? Li Jinyu. Lowly Shaoli, shut your mouth. Slightly tipsy, Zhongyi and Xiangyi's conversation went deeper and deeper. Sometimes I resent him. If it weren't for him, there wouldn't be Jiangjiang. I'm not afraid of others scolding me, but I'm afraid of Jiangjiang being scolded. I think she's a child who isn't blessed by this world. Perhaps it was because actors had a strong ability to empathize with others, but Xiangyi also felt a little choked up. She patted Zhongyi's back and said, Every child is born into this world for the sake of happiness. His words touched Zhongyi, and her eyes immediately turned red. Xiangyi hesitated for a moment before moving closer. She then hugged Zhongyi and patted her back gently. Same to you, senior. Chapter 389. Having not hugged anyone for a long time, Zhongyi's body was obviously a little stiff, but Xiangyi had a sense of propriety and ended the hug in a few seconds. She was polite and warm. Thud. A tear fell from the corner of Zhongyi's eye. There were no cameramen in the living room, only a few fixed cameras. In the director's room. Seeing this scene, Li Jianyu, a grown man, felt a lump in his throat. Although there weren't many pop-up comments in the live stream, it was very heartwarming. Xiangyi is really gentle. Sister, don't cry, I can't help it when you cry. Sister Yi's words are so heartbreaking. She must be a girl who grew up being doted on. That's why she can say that every child is born into this world for the sake of happiness. Zhongyi's tears fell silently for a while. She looked beautiful and breathtaking. Xiangyi didn't say anything to comfort her, and simply poured some fruit wine into her glass. A moment later, Zhongyi got a grip on her emotions. I envy you very much. She expressed her feelings straightforwardly. You have a family who dotes on you, but I don't. During the most difficult period, no one comforted me when I called home. All they did was ask for living expenses. At that time, the most extravagant thing I ever did was to go to the supermarket at night to buy fruits that were on sale for $1 a bag. I didn't even have time to wash them and finish them on the way back. Zhongyi smiled and continued. It's funny, isn't it? But I still remember the taste of those fruits. After going through so much hardship, even a piece of candy could be extremely sweet. That was why she was so resolute when she met Zhang's father. You're the first person to say those words to me. Zhongyi smiled brightly, as if no amount of setbacks could hide her beauty. Can I call you Sister E? Xiangyi was a little dizzy from drinking. Resting her chin in her hand, she nodded and said, Sure. Zhongyi put an arm around her shoulder and said proudly, Sister E, I'll take care of you from now on. There were suddenly more comments in the live stream. I know Zhongyi is from a cult. I'll just stand there for a second. Just 1 second. Come to think of it, Zhongyi's life really isn't easy. Not everyone has the courage to be a single mother. Sister E looks so soft when she's drunk. Shursui, stop reading. Would it work or not? If not, I'll do it. The live broadcast came to an abrupt end. As Ruanqing expected, Xiangyi and Zhongyi's drinking party didn't fail. Instead, it moved countless people. This was something that the production team of Eating Well for 3 Meals could not understand. Why didn't the netizens believe them when they told Zhang Yuner to show her true feelings? Zhongyi had only cried a little, and Xiangyi had only hugged her. How could the two of them become a couple? The production team of Eating Well for 3 Meals was extremely depressed. In the almost suffocating atmosphere, someone came up with a stupid idea and suggested, I think the success of 2 Under One Roof must be because of the good script. Why don't we poach their planner and scriptwriter? Unexpectedly, this suggestion received widespread approval. Since they couldn't fight head-on, they could use underhanded tactics. In the end, the 2 girls had too much to drink. Shursui asked Ruanqing to send Zhongyi back to her room and help take care of Zhang while she carried Xiangyi in her arms. Ruanqing looked at her with a subtle gaze and said, Li Jianyu said that you're worse than little Shiji. I thought it was a joke, but I didn't expect it to be true. Shursui raised his eyebrows, a joyful smile in his dark eyes. Thank you, you flatter me. Chapter 390. Ruanqing was speechless for a while before teasing. Aren't you afraid that Sister Yi's brother will come back? Even she was a little intimidated by Songchen's domineering aura. Shursui smirked and said in a mysterious tone, Him? He should be busy. Ruanqing was dumbfounded. In a bar in Nancheng, although Xianyu made a fool of himself in the live stream of 2 Under One Roof, and was ridiculed by the netizens, he had achieved his goal. He was still famous after all. Now that he had gained popularity, a group of internet celebrities in the company were surrounding him and sucking up to him, feeding him fruits and toasting him. Xianyu was thick-skinned in the first place. In the blink of an eye, he forgot about the embarrassing scene just now and began to brag. Xiangyi, she looks just like that in real life. She's petty and unpresentable. Women have to behave like women. Look at her, which part of her looks like a woman? She's just a shrew. If you ask me, I should have called the police and locked her up when she hit me. I should have taught her a lesson. He belittled Xiang Yi to the point that she was nothing. His throat was dry, but he found that the little internet celebrities around him all had ugly expressions on their faces. Who are you guys putting on such a long face for? Let's get high. In the next second, a cold young man's voice sounded behind him. My sister is a shrew? Immediately after, a devilish male voice spoke in a slightly faster pace. I dare you to say that again. Xianyu felt a chill down his spine and his heart trembled. However, he heard two more voices one after another. The gentle voice asked, Do you think our tutu is a pushover? The cold and aloof voice asked, How do you want to die? Xianyu turned his neck stiffly and saw a row of tall and slender figures behind him. His vision immediately turned dark. Hello, brothers. Xianyu smiled and said obsequiously, I'm Xianyu. Xiangyi likes me a lot. Have you forgotten? She was still crying and rolling on the ground, saying that she wants to marry me. He was eager to use Xiangyi as a rescue, but little did he know that he ended up angering Xiangyi's brothers. Xiangyu grabbed his collar and pulled him up. You're not fit to mention her name. Back then, Xianyu harbored evil intentions towards his sister at the Xiang family's old residence. If they hadn't been at home that day, who knew what would have happened? At the thought of it, Xiangyu's brothers and he was about to punch him. However, Xiangqi stopped him. Xiangyu, let go. Xiangli adjusted his glasses and calmly said, Old four, you're about to compete. Don't cause trouble. Xiangchun was much more direct. Go away. You're too weak. The despised Xiangyu. Xiangyi. Right, TSI. He now you know you're wrong. Xiangqi grinned, his phoenix eyes filled with mischief. But we're not here to hear you apologize, Xianyu said shakily. I have money. Can I compensate you with money? Xiangqi interrupted. We're here to beat you up. Tell me, what order do you want? 1234 or 4321? Or do you want a luxurious one-on-one beating package? The little internet celebrities were scared out of their wits and had long run away. As for the bar, it had already been cleared. Xianyu wanted to cry but had no tears. Who would have thought that this family would be so protective? This time I've offended someone I shouldn't have. I'm really done for. Chapter 391. Half an hour later. On Weibo, the netizens who were surfing saw a new post. It was a video posted by Xianyu. Everyone was already a little tired of his aesthetics, but out of habit, they still clicked on the video. Xianyu's tone was sincere and sincere. Here, I would like to apologize to Miss Xiangyi. Everything that happened today was made up by me for the sake of gaining popularity. Huh? This ugly man actually apologized? In the complete video, Xianyu not only apologized, but also dragged the gossip media into it, claiming that they were the ones who induced him to smear Xiangyi's reputation in exchange for traffic. In an instant, the netizens' anger rose to the peak. The gossip media soon tasted the backlash of the netizens. You treat us like fools. I'll treat you like an orphan. The Weibo account of the gossip media was bombarded with so much criticism that it turned off the comments section and received more than 100,000 insults in private messages. In the end, they had no choice but to expose the informant. Qin Wanyan thought that she had done it flawlessly. She used a SMUF account and even got someone to change the IP address. However, her SMUF account shared a few daily updates and the sharp-eyed netizens managed to figure out that it was her SMUF account from the reflection of a bracelet and half of her face in the sunglasses in a photo. The overwhelming news flooded her Weibo account. Qin Wanyan was extremely anxious and called her manager, who comforted her impatiently and hung up without saying anything about public relations. When she called again for the second time, it was obvious that no one answered. Qin Wanyan was terrified to the extreme and she didn't dare to look at her cell phone at all. Every time she saw those vicious comments, her body would tremble. She would never have thought that those people who were scolding Xiangyi would come to scold her. Not long after, Tomato Entertainment released an announcement. Although Xiangyi was the boss in name, she didn't have much energy to manage it for the time being. Her uncle Xiangfeng had hired a professional manager for her, and he was personally in charge. Seeing that his artiste was exposed to such a scandal, he immediately terminated the contract with Qin Wanyan. In addition to having to face a huge amount of compensation, Qin Wanyan's reputation in the industry was also ruined and no major company would be willing to sign her. Qin Wanyan, who was at her wit's end, suddenly thought of someone. Maybe he can help me. Bar. Sangchen kicked Xenu away with his long legs and adjusted his tie. His black suit outlined the perfect contours of his body, and he exuded a strong sense of oppression that was hard to ignore. Xiangli looked gentle, but he was even more ruthless than Sangchen. It was not difficult for a genius to destroy a company. Xiang Yu was worried. I feel like I'm just a bystander. Xiang Qi comforted him. You should be content. Little uncle doesn't even deserve to be here. Big brother thinks he's clumsy and a burden. Xiang Yu, thank you for being comforted. He put on the hood of his hoodie. His jawline was smooth and handsome. Suddenly he thought of something. Will my sister cry alone in bed? Imagining that scene, the Siscon men felt as if their hearts had been cut by a knife. Xiang Qi said with heartache, let's go back and comfort our sister. Even if she wants to cry, she should cry on my shoulder. Xiang Li chuckled. Are you worthy? Xiang Chen's brows were tightly knitted as he strode forward. Cheating. Big brother, you're cheating. Xiang Qi yelled angrily. The three of them hurriedly caught up with Xiang Yu. Little did they know that at this moment in the manor. Chapter 392. Unbeknownst to them, at this time in the manor, the little rabbit had just been carried into the bedroom. Xiangyi's alcohol tolerance was excellent, and she didn't make a fuss when drunk. Shi Sui put her on the bed, and the little girl obediently rolled up the quilt and covered herself tightly. Shi Sui couldn't help but laugh and raised his hand to pinch her little face. You're really worrisome. Meow meow meow. Xiao Naofu woke up from its sleep and saw Shi Sui carrying the stupid woman back to the room. It hurriedly ran in, stopped at Shi Sui's feet, and roared fiercely at him. Shi Sui lowered his eyes and indifferently said, Go back to your cat's nest and sleep. Xiao Naofu. Meow. Meow meow. Don't think this hoo-hoo doesn't understand. You just want to trick me away and then do this to the stupid woman. It clung to the edge of the bed, and with great difficulty, it jumped up and sat on Xiangyi's pillow with a posture that said, This hoo-hoo is not leaving today. Xiangyi was awakened by the noise and opened her eyes in a daze. The figure of the little cat appeared in her vision, and she habitually hugged it in her arms. All of you. Xiao Naofu. It raised its chin provocatively at Shi Sui. Humph. See that? This hoo-hoo is the rightful wife. This is the hoo-hoo that the stupid woman loves the most. Xiao Naofu's tail swayed gently, curling around her fingers, and rubbing its head against Xiangyi's soft skin under her collarbone. It coquettishly said, Meow meow. Xiangyi closed her eyes again and gently coaxed. All of you be good. Shi Sui's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously and he sneered. Want to be sterilized? Xiao Naofu trembled in fear. However, although its IQ was only equivalent to a child of a few years old, children had a natural instinct to know who would protect them and who they could be pampered in front of. The white, soft, and cute kitten stuck out its little butt awkwardly and squeezed into Xiangyi's shirt through her collar. Only half of its little head was exposed, and it stuck its tongue out at Shi Sui. Lu dog man, this hoo-hoo is not afraid of you. Shi Sui's temples twitched violently. The young lady was drunk, so of course he couldn't take advantage of her and take advantage of her. Therefore, he really couldn't do anything about Xiao Naofu now. However, the man was calm and composed as he smiled faintly. Xiao Naofu, I've recently discovered that Sister Yi's casserole is especially good. The stewed meat is especially mushy. That black-bellied smile, that dark temperament, he was definitely a villain. Xiao Naofu. You're not going to do anything when it comes to men and women, are you? However, Xiangyi felt something furry and warm pressing against her body. It was a little itchy and a little heavy. The young lady murmured and wanted to move Xiao Naofu away, but she was blocked by her clothes. She subconsciously pulled at her clothes. Shi Sui's breathing became slightly erratic as he pressed down on her hand. In a daze, Xiangyi felt the hot temperature on the back of her hand. Her brain lost control of its logic and her body reacted quickly. She grabbed Shi Sui's wrist and pulled and pressed. In the blink of an eye, she had Shi Sui pressed against her side, imprisoning and subduing her. In fact, Shi Sui didn't resist at all. Otherwise, the drunk Xiangyi wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Xiangyi struggled to blur her eyes, as if trying to identify Shui. A certain actor smiled at the kitten. This is called acting, understand? Xiao Naofu. Woof woof woof. UF * King Dog Man. Shui didn't get to gloat for more than 3 seconds before someone knocked on the bedroom door. Sister, are you asleep? Chapter 393. In an instant, Shui's expression froze slightly. Even Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled up. The man and cat looked at each other and surprisingly reached an agreement. They didn't make a sound. Fortunately, the brothers outside the door were very gentlemanly in front of their sister, and wouldn't barge into her room without permission. She should be asleep, right? Xiang Qi said uncertainly. Xiang Yu's nose twitched and he sniffed. Seems like she made supper. Xiang Qi was overjoyed. I'll go to the kitchen and take a look. Xiang Yu was afraid that he would steal food, so he followed closely behind him. The two of them went out of the kitchen and found the food in the fridge. Hey! Xiang Qi lowered his voice. Fourth brother, don't make a sound. Let's split the spoils. Xiang Yu put one hand in his pocket and pressed down the hood of his hoodie with the other. He said a few words indifferently. Big brother is outside. Oh. Xiang Qi was instantly terrified. If it was only the black-bellied old fox second brother outside, he would still dare to repeatedly jump on the edge of death. However, Xiang Yu was here. Xiang Yu said righteously. Am I the kind of person who would secretly eat behind my brother's back? What's the most important thing when a family is together? Sharing. Xiang Yu clicked his tongue. He wouldn't believe his nonsense. Since they were already here, let's eat. The 4 brothers sat down around the remaining small plate of food. Xiang Li had already familiarly gone to the wine cellar to get wine. Xiang Yu was about to compete and consciously didn't touch the wine. Xiang Qi said arrogantly, Fourth brother, pour wine for your brothers. Xiang Yu glanced at him. Xiang Qi said, What are you staring at? Keep staring and I'll beat you up. You're the youngest, so of course you should pour it. Xiang Yu said in a disdainful tone. Why didn't you say that when little sister was here? He had never seen Xiang Qi order Xiang Yi around and only knew how to put on airs as third brother in front of him. Xiang Qi said righteously. How can you compare to little sister? Xiang Yu. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that. He speechlessly poured wine for his brothers. In the bedroom, Xiang Yi stared at Shui for a long time. She seemed to recognize him. She buried her head in his chest and sniffed his shirt. Shui's body tensed up and his eyes darkened. After confirming that it was the familiar smell of laundry detergent, Xiang Yi felt relieved and fell asleep. Oh, did this mean that he wasn't treating him as an outsider? This realization made Shui feel both amused and helpless. He broke free from Xiang Yi's shackles and pinched her little cheeks. Xiao Naofu meowed in protest. Be a man. Shui sneered. If I didn't want to be a human, you would have been stewed into a kitten. She shrank her little head into Xiang Yi's arms vigilantly, which made Shui's thin eyelids twitch violently. He really deserved a beating. After a few minutes, when the heat in his heart had dissipated, he gently tucked Xiang Yi in and went back to his room along the balcony. In the living room, Sangchen drank 2 glasses of wine, but his brows were still furrowed. He put down the wine glass and walked towards Shui's room. He knocked on the door with a blank expression. A moment later, the door was pulled open. Shui was only wearing a pair of dark blue home pants. He was wiping himself with a towel. You're back. What's the matter? Sangchen walked past him and looked into the room with a sharp gaze. The large bed in the room was clean and even the thin blanket was neatly folded. Sangchen felt relieved and said with a straight face, Rest early. Suddenly, there was the sound of chaotic footsteps behind him. Sangchen turned around and saw his sister coming out of her room, hugging a soft pillow with a lace rim. She walked towards Shui's room as if sleepwalking and bumped into his arms. Chapter 394. Xiao Naofu chased after her, meowing non-stop. Shui subconsciously wrapped her arms around her waist. Xiao Naofu bumped into Sangchen's trouser leg and was so scared that its fur stood on end. The surrounding temperature seemed to drop rapidly. Sangchen's eyes were cold as he looked at the drunk Xiang Yi, and then at the innocent-looking Shui. Explain, Sangchen said coldly. Shui's mentality was really good, and her expression didn't change. Sister E is sober now. Big brother, remember to remind her to be responsible for me? Sang-chen. At the dining table, Xiang Yu and Xiang Qi were dumbfounded. F***ck, there's such a thing. He actually dared to be mischievous in front of Big Brother. Xiang Li pushed his glasses, and a trace of worry flashed in the depths of his eyes. From a logical point of view, the room that Shi Sui chose was one that Xiang Yi had stayed in before, so it was barely reasonable. After getting drunk, she followed her body's memory and wanted to go back to her original room to sleep. But from an emotional point of view, it was obvious that their family's pampered little rabbit had self-taught herself to nibble on the grass around her nest. Sang-chen's entire person exuded a threatening chill, and his eyes were sharp, like snow-white blades under the light. The danger multiplied. You are courting death. The man enunciated each word sharply. His well-defined fingers rolled up his snow-white sleeves. Not far away, Xiang Qi and Xiang Yu were terrified and quickly hid far away, afraid of being implicated. Xiang Li got up and slowly walked forward. Sang-chen sneered. What? You want to speak for him? Am I that kind? Xiang Li smiled like a sly old fox. Go ahead, I'll take my sister away. Don't scare her. Xiang Qi scolded. Second brother, you scheming boy. I think you want to rub her face while she's drunk. Xiang Yu, who was next to him, felt his fingertips itch. His sister's face felt really good when he pinched it, but when he grew up, he couldn't just pinch him as he pleased. He made a prompt decision and strode over. Let me do it. Xiang Qi scolded. Do you know how to take care of girls? You're so clumsy, let me do it. Then Shi Sui found that Xiang Yi's brothers were fighting among themselves. He was not nervous about being beaten up at all. He leaned lazily against the door frame as if he had no bones. He watched the show with a faint smile, but his hand was still on Xiang Yi's waist. Xiang Yi was tipsy and dizzy. She could barely stand after standing for a long time and instinctively leaned on Shi Sui's shoulder. Enough. Sang-chen felt that they were too noisy. Once he opened his mouth, everyone was stunned. No one dared to say anything anymore. Sang-chen grabbed Xiang Yi's wrist and wanted to get her back to the room first. Unexpectedly, although Xiang Yi was drunk, her reaction was not slow. Slap! The girl was drunk. Tutu was not afraid of her brother and slapped Sang-chen's hand away. Xiang Li? Xiang Qi? Xiang Yu? Sister. Actually hit Big Brother. Even Sang-chen, who had always been cold and aloof, couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Wow, looks like our sister E has her own idea. Shi Sui chuckled and said in a flirtatious voice. Sister E, do you want to go to Big Brother's room? Xiang Yi didn't hear what he said at all. She only felt that his breath was the most familiar, so she responded softly. Shi Sui's thin lips twitched. Do you want to sleep on Big Brother's bed? Xiang Yi blinked her eyes, her little expression very blank. Shi Sui naturally took her pillow and said in a rippling voice. Okay. Big Brother will put the pillow properly for you. Chapter 395. Sang-chen and the others watched as Shi Sui held a pillow in one hand and Xiang Yi in the other as he led her to the bed. He patted the bed and said in a coaxing tone, Go to sleep. Xiang Yi yawned and obediently lay down on the bed. She even lifted the thin blanket to cover herself. Good night, Sister E. Xiang Yi murmured softly and covered her head with the small blanket. It was as if she found him too noisy. Shi Sui smiled and said, Go to sleep, I'm going to get beaten up. It could be said that he was very self-aware. In the underground boxing room, Xiang Yu, Xiang Qi, and Xiang Li were sweating profusely and panting. Xiang Li's breathing was the most erratic and he even took off his glasses. He usually didn't exercise and now he was regretting it. In the ring, Sang-chen was still fighting with Shi Sui. Again. Sweat flowed down Sang-chen's chiseled jawline. The man's face was cold and his breathing was steady. Shi Sui, who was opposite him, was still as calm and composed as ever. Shi Sui is pretty good. Xiang Yu muttered. After all, he could fight with Xiang Yu. Xiang Qi was so tired that he was lying on the ground. Hearing his words, he kicked him. Can you not boost other people's morale and diminish your own? Xiang Yu said. I don't know who it was that kept getting beaten up. He almost had to climb a pillar. Xiang Qi said. You didn't get beaten up? What esports guru? I think you're just a little kid. The two of them argued endlessly. Xiangli silently sat a little further away from the two of them. The next day, in the nanny van, Si Chuanbai looked at the wound on his artist's eyebrow and sighed. You were beaten up. Shui was speechless. Why did he feel like he was waiting for him to get beaten up? Luckily, the wound is small. Let Xiaoli cover it for you later. Si Chuanbai glanced at his leg and asked sincerely, How's your leg? Do you need me to rent a wheelchair to push you to the event? Shui was confused. Are you my manager or my number one anti-fan? He sounded helpless. Si Chuanbai said righteously, I'm Miss Xiangyi's manager and her family. You're just an artist that I've managed in passing. The makeup artist couldn't help but laugh. He was Shui's personal makeup artist. After so many years they had a close relationship, so he spoke freely. If the netizens knew that you were finally beaten up by Sister Yi's brother, they would definitely set off firecrackers. Shui, am I hated by humans and dogs now? Haha, it's because other than the couple fans, everyone wants Sister Yi to be beautiful alone. The makeup artist teased. Oh yes, I heard that the guest today is Fujian. He is famous for flirting with girls. You have to work harder, otherwise Sister Yi might be won over by another man. When Xiangyi woke up, she realized that she was in Shui's room and was dumbfounded. She felt guilty and tiptoed to open the door. Just as she was about to sneak back to her room, she heard a cold voice above her head. You're awake. Xiangyi instinctively stood at attention and greeted him dryly. Good morning, big brother. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. You've learned how to please people? Xiangyi said seriously. It's only right to be nice to big brother. Songchen's expression was still cold, but he couldn't help but smile. He accidentally tugged at his wound and sucked in a breath of cold air. Xiangyi asked, Brother, why are you injured? What did you do yesterday? Songchen sneered. I hit a dog. Xiangyi. Chapter 396. Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang got up early and left a note, saying that they had gone hiking together. Breakfast was prepared by her brothers. Although the taste was ordinary, Xiangyi ate it with great satisfaction. Zhongyi completely let herself go. She didn't even put on any makeup. She was drinking beef and radish soup with Xiangyi to sober up. After breakfast, Zhongyi got ready to leave with Jiang. The live stream happened to start, and the netizens discovered that Xiangyi had stuffed the trunk of Zhongyi's nanny van to the brim. There were spicy rabbit heads, cream strawberries, and other specialties from Little Rabbit Farm, as well as chili noodles, chili oil, plum wine, and so on. There was also a small gift for Jiang, which was a furry rabbit plushie. This is my favorite rabbit. It's for you. Jiang blinked her large eyes and shook her head. I can't accept it then. Mommy says that it's called snatching someone else's love. Xiangyi smiled gently and stroked her little head. But I like it better, Jiang. Jiang blushed and thanked her while hugging the rabbit. She then whispered into Zhongyi's ear. Mommy, can we not accept the gift and just bring Auntie home? Although her voice was soft, she was wearing a microphone and her words were accurately captured in the live stream. Zhongyi looks amazing without makeup too. Wow, I feel like Sister Yi really treats Zhongyi as a friend. I can be a couple with Zhongyi. Jiang, you've spoken my mind. Here, Auntie will give you a sack. Under Xiangyi's influence, Zhongyi smiled brightly and changed the subject. Auntie's birthday is coming up soon. Shall I give her a gift? Jiang exclaimed in a childish voice. Sure. Bye, Auntie. Jiang waved her chubby little paws and blew a kiss at Xiangyi. Xiangyi made a gesture of catching it, and then made a heart gesture at her. After sending Zhongyi and her daughter off, Xiangyi walked back to the living room. The netizens finally realized that all four of Xiangyi's brothers were present. Oh, yes. Songchen was replying to emails on his laptop by the French window. There was a cup of black coffee beside his hand. Xiangli was flipping through a book on the bookshelf. The sunlight shone on his white shirt, making him look elegant and modest. Xiangqi was sewing a new apron for his sister with a needle and thread. He obviously had a devilish appearance, but doing this kind of thing didn't seem out of place. As for Xiangyu, with the mentality of giving up on himself, he was waiting in front of the kitty villa, rubbing little Shiji and hugging Xiao Naofu. He looked like a scumbag who had a wife and a concubine in his arms. The netizens in the live stream. What kind of benefit is this? This sister-in-law is here to report for duty. Where are second sister-in-law's fans? Let me see you. I'm crying. I didn't expect to see my brothers in the same frame in my lifetime. The moment Xiangyi came in, her brothers all looked at her. Sit. Xiangchan pointed at the empty seat on the opposite side. The young girl bit the bullet and went over to take a seat. She placed her hands on the table and sat down like an obedient child. Xiangchen looked at her for a few seconds and suddenly said, "Do you know the dangers of puppy love?" Xiangyi was dumbfounded. Xiangchen gestured and said, "Xiangli, come here and explain to her." Xiangli readily agreed and said gently, "Puppy love refers to the establishment of a romantic relationship between a man and a woman at an early age. The dangers are as follows. I'll break it down into 5 major points and 20 minor points." Xiangyi was dumbfounded. The netizens in the live stream burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, this is awesome. Are the brothers trying to tear apart a couple with their bare hands? Chapter 397. I suddenly feel like Xiangyi is so childish. Second brother, why are you still cooperating with him? Okay, I got it. Break up with your boyfriend now. Oh right, I don't have a boyfriend yet. Xiangyi was lectured for more than 10 minutes. In summary, puppy love is a very harmful social activity. Xiangli concluded in a gentle tone. Do you understand, little bunny? Xiangyi defended herself with a pale face. I'm already 20 years old. Huh? You're only 20 years old and you're already thinking about dating? Xiangchen frowned, obviously disapproving of her behavior. Xiangli said gently, "You're not careful with your words. You haven't even celebrated your 20th birthday yet." Xiangqi chimed in. Yes. Besides, you're still a baby at 20 years old. The 21-year-old Xiangyu crossed his arms and said stiffly, Yes. Xiangyi said aggrievedly. But I'm not in a relationship yet. Xiangchen frowned. You still want to take action? Xiangli tried to smooth things over. It's better to nip the problem in the bud. Okay, Xiangyi is right. Xiangyi sighed helplessly. What else could she do but listen to her brother? The netizens who were watching the live stream couldn't stop laughing. Untimely CP fans are crying in the toilet. Ah, my country owes me a brother. Her brothers are right. Xiangyi should be beautiful on her own. While the atmosphere was harmonious, Li Jianyu suddenly received a message and hurriedly cued Xiangyi. Sister E, the guest is here. Today's guest was also an actor who had worked with Shi Sui before. His name was Fu Jian. He had played the role of the Crown Prince in that historical drama, which had captivated the hearts of countless young girls. Previously, in Heartbeat, he and Yu Miao Miao tried to hype up a couple, but they failed miserably and their reputation dropped. His management team helped him get the resources of two under one roof in order to clear his name. I'll go pick up the guest then, Xiangyi said to her brothers and got up to go to the door. Xiangyi walked to the black gate. Other than Fu Jian's nanny van, there was also a red sports car behind. Fu Jian was handsome and took the initiative to greet Xiangyi. Hello, Sister E. I'm Fu Jian. You can call me Brother Jian. The netizens in the live stream were all complaining. Ah, this is too greasy. No way? Brother Jian sounds so. I really can't accept the fact that His Highness the Crown Prince has turned into a greasy youth sob. Before Xiangyi could say anything, a disdainful sneer came from the supercar. How unsophisticated. The camera panned back and saw a girl with exquisite makeup and a socialite dress getting out of the sports car. She threw the car keys at Fu Jian arrogantly. Fu Jian took it instinctively. Hey, stop the car for me. Fu Jian. Huh. Come on, did he look like a parking valet? Xiangyi blinked, obviously happy. Jojo, what are you doing here? Li Jianyu and the others were dumbfounded. This girl isn't a guest. Zhang Zhujo raised her chin and said arrogantly, Don't think that I'm here for you. I'm just here to see Grandpa Xiang and Madame Xiang. Xiangyi said with a composed expression. Oh, I see. Zhang Zhujo seemed to be very dissatisfied with her answer. She humped and walked in her high heels. Li Jianyu asked in bewilderment. Sister E, this is? Xiangyi asked carefully. My friend, right? Zhang Zhujo, who was in front, paused in her tracks. Chapter 398. Atrocious. What's with that tone of hers? She's so reluctant to call me a friend. Little did she know that Xiangyi felt that the person who had occupied her body had made new friends and neglected Zhang Juzhou in the past year. Perhaps Zhang Juzhou no longer treated her as a friend. Zhang Juzhou gritted her teeth and walked even faster. The comments about Zhang Juzhou in the livestream weren't very friendly. This girl is too arrogant. Xiangyi briefly introduced Zhang Juzhou on the spot. She's an excellent violinist and the chief of the Orpheus Orchestra. We've known each other since kindergarten. Li Jinyu gasped and asked, Is it the Orpheus Orchestra that I know? In the livestream. Orpheus Orchestra? What the hell? I'm speechless. It's one of the top orchestras abroad and they have to be under 30 years old. I'm a music major just passing by. This girl is super impressive. She's a musical genius. She has an absolute sense of music. All of a sudden, the comment section was filled with discussions about Zhang Juzhou. Fu Jian helped Zhang Juzhou park the car bitterly. But he was immediately tricked by the production team. Li Jinyu smiled and handed him a few mission cards. Jian, draw one. Fu Jian casually drew a card and opened it, only to be dumbfounded. Bathe the little black pig? Fu Jian's eyelids twitched. Don't tell me all the mission cards are for this? Li Jinyu asked. Am I that kind of person? Fu Jian looked hesitant. He then heard Li Jinyu exclaim indignantly, I am. Fu Jian was speechless. I'll bear with it for the sake of clearing my name. He had a rather boisterous personality, but when he played the role of the Crown Prince back then, he left a deep impression on everyone. Countless fans became fans of him because of his role, so they naturally hoped that he could be like the Crown Prince in person. The production team had been asking him to create a persona for himself, but after a long time, he couldn't keep up with the act and hence, became a greasy young man whose persona had collapsed. Fu Jian mentally prepared himself in a few seconds and asked expectantly, Will Sister E help me catch the pig then? He was a loyal fan of Two Under One Roof, and usually he would watch the livestream crazily. He had watched the scenes of Xiangyi catching the pig over 100 times. You have hands and feet, why should she catch a pig for you? Zhang Juzhou was dumbfounded as soon as she entered the living room. The Demon King and the others were all there. She stammered and greeted them before hurriedly coming out in shock. When she heard that Fu Jian had asked Xiangyi to help him catch the pig, she got angry. How could such a cute girl like Ego catch a pig? Fu Jian said resentfully. I don't know how to. Zhang Juzhou said aggressively. If you don't know, you can go and learn. A girl's hands are not meant for catching pigs. Coincidentally, Xiangyi went to the tool room to take out gloves, straw hats, sunscreen sleeves, and other items. She gave one to Fu Jian and one for herself. Zhang Juzhou asked in disbelief. Hey, where's mine? Xiangyi was stunned. It's very sunny outside. Go to the living room and enjoy the air conditioning. There are snacks in the mini fridge. Zhang Juzhou's eyes widened. Are you a devil? The Great Demon King is in the living room. Xiangyi thought about it and realized that Zhang Juzhou seemed to be quite afraid of Xiang Chan. She asked tentatively, Shall we go together then? Humph, since you've invited me so enthusiastically, I'll reluctantly agree to your suggestion. Fu Jian asked. But didn't you say that girls can't catch pigs with their hands? Zhang Juzhou rolled her eyes. It's none of your business. Chapter 399. Fu Jian was speechless. Am I being despised? His deflated expression was so funny that everyone in the comments section of the live stream burst into laughter. Trying to reason with a girl? Brother, aren't you courting death? Does Two Under One Roof have some kind of anti-filth function? Even Fu Jian finds it pleasing to the eye. Shocking. A popular male celebrity is doing such a thing in broad daylight with two girls. Amidst the commotion of the audience, Xiangyi and the other two arrived at the farm. The little black pigs were being reared on the hillside. Fu Jian asked curiously, Sister E, how many pigs do you have in total? Xiangyi said. Not many, just dozens. Hey. Fu Jian was shocked and he looked like a walking emoji. Let me do the math. According to 40 yuan per catty of pork and 50 kilograms per pig, each pig is worth 4,000 yuan. There are so many of them on the mountain. They're not pigs, they're money. Zhang Juzhou said in disdain. Look at how ignorant you are. Fu Jian scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. I'll go catch one first and see if I can catch one. It's cooler here under the shade, you two wait for me here. Xiangyi said. Actually you don't have to catch one. Jiang Zhuzhou interjected. Who are you looking down on? I'm not a good-for-nothing. I want to go too. Fu Jian said. Let's see who catches it first then. Xiangyi said. You really don't have to. The two of them didn't listen to her at all. They somehow felt like competing with each other and rushed up the hillside. Xiangyi was speechless. Forget it, as long as you guys are happy. Fu Jian and Jiang Zhuzhou had their eyes on the same little black pig. The two of them pounced on it from both sides, only to be defeated. The little black pig scurried away. Fu Jian said regretfully, What a pity, this pig is quite cute. Jiang Zhuzhou licked the corner of her lips and said, It should be delicious braised pork. Fu Jian was speechless. All of a sudden, a large, sturdy, and powerful black pig appeared in front of them, followed by a little black pig that was whining. Jiang Zhuzhou turned pale and exclaimed, It can actually call Daddy over. Fu Jian pulled a long face. Is it too late for us to call it Daddy now? The answer was that it was too late. The big black boar dug into the ground and charged at the two of them aggressively. Ah! As a result, the live stream was filled with the screams of two people being chased by pigs. Pig catching girl Coco Love. F***ck. What kind of stupid variety show is this? I'm dying of laughter in front of the screen. Fu Jian must be a comedian deep down. It's such a pity that he didn't go into crosstalk. Fu Jian and Jiang Zhuzhou fled frantically together with the cameraman. For some reason, they alarmed the black pigs nearby. All of a sudden, the scene was extremely chaotic and there were piglets running wild all over the hillside. Seeing that the situation was becoming more and more dangerous, the audience gradually felt that something was wrong. There won't be an accident, right? Is there something wrong with the production team? Arranging such a dangerous mission, aren't the artists' lives more important? If she falls, there might be a stampede. What if she hurts the girl's hand? She's a violinist. This is really the most confusing act of the year. Can't the vase fairy do it herself? Why did she let the crown prince and the girl take the risk? This is too much. I suspect that she's doing it on purpose. She's jealous of Jiang Zhuzhou. She's the chief of Orpheus. It's easy for people to be jealous of their friends. If she goes to Orpheus, do you think anyone will want her? Chapter 400. Some people were purely worried about the safety of the guests, while others were stirring up trouble, wishing they could trample on Xiangyi a few more times. There were only so many decent resources in the entertainment industry, and now that Xiangyi had become famous, she was bound to touch the cake of others. Some people didn't want her to become famous. There were also people guarding against her exploding to the front line. As the situation became more and more dangerous, Li Jinyu also panicked and shouted through the loudspeaker, Everyone, don't panic. Come to my side first. Before he finished speaking, a little black pig that was passing by bumped into his leg and Li Jinyu fell to the ground. He was speechless. The cameraman, Old Zhang, did not forget to give him a close-up. However, no one could laugh now. The urgency of the audience seemed to be overflowing through the screen. Oh my God, His Highness can't take this hit. Xiangyi, can't you control your pig? I'm speechless. Where is she? Did she run away? How can she be so irresponsible? I'm speechless. Is the production team brainless? Why did they set up such a dangerous task? Someone said weakly, The last time Sistery caught pigs it wasn't this dangerous. This should just be an accident. This person had just defended Xiangyi, but he was criticized so badly that he began to doubt his life and shut himself up on the spot. Seeing that the chaotic situation couldn't be resolved, a clear whistle sounded. All of a sudden, the restless little black pigs quietened down. The whistle was melodious and immediately afterwards, the little black pigs all headed in one direction. Everyone at the scene was speechless. The netizens were speechless. Oh wow, is this a miracle? Everyone looked at the source of the whistle in unison, only to see a slender girl carrying a bag of corn and a bag of vegetables, standing by a small pond not far away and whistling. She scattered the corn and vegetables on the ground, and the little black pigs obediently ate. After they were full, some jumped into the shallow water by the small pond and snorted. The scene changed from a violent and dangerous pig chase to a warm and harmonious rural life. The netizens were speechless. Didn't she just say that she didn't have to catch the pigs? Damn. Sister E was really strong. Carrying 2 such big sacks in one go? Anyway, I can't carry it. Those who scolded and ran away come out and get beaten up. Xiang Yi went to get some food. Who knew that they would be chased by pigs? Instantly, the group of people who had scolded the most fiercely just now were too embarrassed to say anything. It turned out that not only did she not abandon them, she even appeared to help them out. Phew! Fu Jiayan let out a long sigh of relief. Oh my god, I was scared to death. He was drenched in sweat from running and his clothes were stained with grass and mud because he had been protecting Jiang Jujiu just now. Jiang Jujiu, who was at the side, wasn't much better than him. Her meticulously permed hair had already fallen apart and the bow on her head was crooked too. She walked towards Xiang Yi fiercely. Fu Jiayan was shocked. Could it be that this eldest miss was going to settle the score with Sister E? He was not the only one. Many people in the livestream had the same thought. Oh, someone is going to be unlucky. Serves her right. Who told her not to appear earlier and make Jiang Jujiu so disheveled? Let's fight, let's fight. Let's tear our hair apart. It's finally time for a fight. I'm so excited. However, to everyone's surprise, Jiang Jujiu stood still with her hands on her waist. Hey, I want to eat that pig for lunch. Chapter 401. Everyone was speechless. What the hell? Sister, do you still remember that you're a noble and elegant violinist? Xiang Yi asked in a gentle voice. Huh? Which one? That one. Jiang Jujiu felt extremely aggrieved. It's rubbing my butt. Humph. I'm going to eat it. Jiang Jujiu was very willful but Xiang Yi indulged her. Okay, we'll kill it later then. The netizens were appalled. Little black pig. It can't escape the punishment of fate. Ha 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 ha. This girl is so cute. Sister E is a woman who says the cruelest things in the most gentle tone. Pigs are so cute, how can one be enough? Why don't you kill 2 more and hold a fan lucky draw? The disheveled Fu Jiayan seemed to have had an epiphany as he muttered. So this is the correct way to complete the bathing task. Heaven and man are one, the Tao is natural, people and the environment get along harmoniously. Ba, little piggy, I wish you a speedy ascension to heaven. No wonder Xiang Yi said that there's no need to catch them. It turns out that if I feed the pigs by the small pond, they'll jump in and bathe themselves. The netizens teased. Fu Jiayan, master, I'm enlightened. Is the crown prince trying to expiate souls? Fu Jiayan is a comedian. Major variety show dads, please look at our brother. This segment was too entertaining. Li Jinyu sighed with emotion. Back then, when Shi Sui asked him to invite Xiang Yi, he did so with the intention of getting a buy one get one free deal. But now it seemed that Xiang Yi was the treasure that he had bought, and Shi Sui's father was just a freebie that was placed on sale at the supermarket. He even wanted to tailor a variety show for Sister E. Isn't it nice to be alone and beautiful? When the time comes, the variety show award would be within reach. Hey. Ruan Qing's voice pulled Li Jinyu back to reality. How much longer are you planning to sit on the ground? Li Jinyu snapped back to his senses and finally realized that he was still sitting on the ground. Ruan Qing reached her hand out to him in amusement. Li Jinyu was stunned and said weakly, Sister Ruan, can you not hit my face? I didn't know that this mission would have such a dangerous possibility. Previously, when Sister E was catching pigs, it was all very peaceful. Ruan Qing was speechless. I was trying to pull you up. So it wasn't him? Little Li, the sociopath, was ecstatic. After the little piglets finished bathing, Xiang Yi skillfully caught them and prepared to bring them to be processed. She then arranged for Fu Jiayan to pick some ingredients. Pick some red and green chilies, 2 green onions and 2 heads of garlic. Thank you. Fu Jiayan was elated. Great. Sister E, you're the best. You gave me such a light job. Jiang Jujiu asked, what about me? Xiang Yi pointed at the glass greenhouse and said, why don't you take a rest inside and I'll make you a pot of flower tea? Fu Jiayan, isn't this a double standard? Wasn't this double standard? The young girl washed her hands and made tea for Jiang Jujiu in a fluid manner. Before she left, she even helped Jiang Jujiu redo the bow hairpin. Jiang Jujiu was secretly delighted. but she still had to pretend to be indifferent. Okay, by the way, I want to eat braised pork trotters, Xiangyi said. Okay. She carried the struggling little black pig with one hand and walked towards the kitchen. The cameraman asked, "Why are you so nice to Miss Jiang?" Xiangyi was puzzled. Isn't it only right to be nice to your friends? All of a sudden, countless people flocked to Shusui's Weibo. Shusui v Shusui. If you don't come back, your wife is going to run away with someone else. Chapter 402. At the same time, at a certain movie premiere. Although Shusui played a supporting role in the movie, his character design and scenes were very outstanding. After the premiere, the character that left the deepest impression on everyone was the one he played. Even during the interview, he was the one who was asked the most questions. Shusui calmly brought the topic back to the main character. However, in the end, he still couldn't avoid the reporter's questions. Shusui, some people say that you're lowering yourself by playing a supporting role for a newcomer, even though you've already won the Best Actor award. What do you think? Shusui pushed his gold-rimmed glasses up his nose and said gently, I used to be a newcomer too. For actors, it's important to know how to portray their roles well. Shusui, what's your upcoming work schedule? Aren't you going to join the cast? Shusui said, I'll take into account external factors and my own situation to choose the most suitable script. I won't let down the audience's expectations of me. The reporters were a little disappointed, but they were used to it. When Shusui had just debuted, his words were logical and watertight. Although it could be considered an art of language, it was still not a hot topic in gimmicks. Until someone asked, the netizens are voting. Does Sister E like a wolf puppy or a puppy? Which type does Shusui think he is? Which type does Sister E like? Everyone was speechless. Awesome. That was the right question. For a moment, all the cameras were aimed at Shusui, hoping to hear some juicy gossip. The handsome man raised his eyebrows and said lazily, Can't I be human? Someone laughed first, and the crowd burst into laughter. The reporter who asked the question held back his laughter and asked, Shusui, do you think Sister E likes a wolf puppy or a puppy? Shusui said, I know. She should like humans. The reporters realized that Shusui actually had a humorous side to him. However, if one thought about it carefully, one would realize that there was a double meaning to his response. Sister E liked humans, but he was also a human. It could be understood that Sister E liked him, but she didn't use a definite tone, which made people's imaginations run wild. Damn, brother. Where can I buy your works? Xiangyi was busy in the kitchen. Fu Jian was bored out of his wits and wasn't familiar with Xiangyi's brothers either. Hence, he had no choice but to chat with Jiang Zhuzhou awkwardly. Jiang Zhuzhou wasn't in the mood. While playing with her cell phone, she answered indifferently. Suddenly, Fu Jian asked about Xiangyi. When did you meet Sister E? Jiang Zhuzhou raised her head and said with certainty, 3.5 years old. You even remember this? Fu Jian was a little surprised. A 3-year-old child can't remember anything, right? I just remember. Okay. Tell me then, what was Sister E like when she was 3.5 years old? Jiang Zhuzhou got lost in her memories and paused for a moment before saying, She was pretty much the same as she is now. She was a crybaby, timid, weak, helpless, and pitiful. Fu Jian was speechless. Wait, are you sure you're talking about Sister E? She's just an annoying kid. Jiang Zhuzhou commented. Thinking about what happened in kindergarten, Jiang Zhuzhou got angry. Xiangyi is very nice, but she's nice to every child. Anyone can share her after-meal fruits. She already has a harem at such a young age. She's so annoying. Chapter 403. However, in the ears of the netizens watching the live stream, her words sounded a little different. Haven't you guys realized that Xiangyi doesn't have any friends at all? Who said she doesn't? Qin Wanyan is her best friend, yet she exposed her so easily. From this point you can see her character. Although Shusui doesn't have many friends, they are all close friends. On the other hand, the vase fairy only knows how to seduce men. How could she have a true female friend? As the camera panned to the kitchen, Xiangyi's pork trotters were stewing, and the live comments were instantly flooded with new comments. Is this Xiaohei? It looks so fragrant. Wow, Xiaohei has such a good figure. She's neither fat nor thin. I'm drooling. Xiaohei, you guys are still lusting after my body at a time like this? Be a human. Sister E is weak, helpless, and pitiful? She's a devil who can catch a pig with one hand and sharpen her knife to kill a pig, okay? The comments section was very lively, but Xiangyi's expression was very calm as she quietly cooked. Every time she cooked, she would put her heart and soul into it. What might be boring for others was equivalent to relieving stress for her. The scene of a young girl cooking was pleasing to the eye, as if she was enjoying a piece of art. When the last dish was placed on the plate, Xiang Qi and Xiang Yu had already consciously come over to serve the dishes. Fu Zheyin was still thinking about clearing his name, so he helped clean up the table and sat upright with a solemn expression. I can't eat too much. I'm going to steal the role of an otherworldly immortal. I just have to taste each dish. Besides, I don't believe that the previous live stream wasn't an act. Sister Yi's cooking did look delicious, but how delicious could it be? Fu Zheyin picked up a piece of twice-cooked pork with his chopsticks, still thinking about how he had eaten at a top-notch restaurant that cost a few thousand yuan per person. What the f***ck? It was fatty but not greasy, salty, and slightly spicy. The slightly sweet taste suddenly bloomed on the tip of his tongue, capturing his taste buds in an instant. The pork was freshly slaughtered and the chili was freshly picked. Paired with bean paste, green onions, and garlic sprouts, it created a rich and unique taste. What kind of delicacy was this? An exceptional delicacy. Fu Zheyin was dumbfounded. By the time he reacted, the dishes on the table had already been reduced by a third. His pupils trembled as he looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Hades had brought his own big bowl of rice, but Xiang Yu's bowl was even bigger than his. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to describe it as a small basin. Even the elegant and modest Dr. Xiang and the cold and indifferent lawyer Xiang had small mountains of rice on their plates. Country bumpkins. Jiang Zhuzhou said in disdain. What's wrong with that? In the past, they would even bring pots and pans to their meals. Fu Zheyin suddenly realized that the competition in the Xiang clan was actually so cruel. As he ate, he asked, "Why aren't you eating?" Jiang Zhuzhou picked up a piece of stir-fried vegetable elegantly and rinsed it with water before eating it. She raised her head arrogantly. The orchestra is about to perform. I'm the lead violinist. Rounding it off, it would be the C position, all right? I'm trying to lose weight, so I definitely won't eat such greasy meat dishes. Not even a single bite. Fu Zheyin agreed. You're right. Missy, I wish you success. In the next second, he picked up all the remaining pieces of vegetables in front of Jiang Zhuzhou. Jiang Zhuzhou was speechless. At this moment, a strong and spicy aroma wafted into her nose. Chapter 404. She couldn't control her physiological instincts and looked towards the source of the aroma. Xiangyi came out of the kitchen with a plate of braised food. At the top was a soft and tender pork trotter, surrounded by a circle of duck wings and chicken feet, as well as a few pieces of dried tofu and shiitake mushrooms. The food was all soaked in the beautiful reddish-brown gravy and sprinkled with some white sesame seeds. The aroma of the food wafted in all directions, causing the cravings in the depths of one's heart to come out. Fujun. Jiang Zhuzhou. The brothers of the Xiang family were obviously immune to their sister's delicacies as they all looked rather calm. However, the impact on Fu Zheyin and Jiang Zhuzhou was too great. It smells so good. How can it be so fragrant? Gulp. Fu Zheyin couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Xiangyi placed the braised food platter in the middle of the dining table and said, I asked around and everyone can take spicy food, so I made some spicy food. Try it. By the way, I'll go get some soy milk. The little girl got up to get the soy milk, and the table immediately went into battle mode. The brothers of the Xiang family exchanged glances and sparks flew everywhere. Fu Zheyin was so cowardly that he didn't dare to move his chopsticks at all. Jiang Zhuzhou thought of her bold words just now and decided not to move her chopsticks for the sake of her pride. Soon, the brothers of the Xiang family decided who was better. Sangchen was the first to move his chopsticks and picked up a few pieces of pork trotters that were just right for his mouth. Xiang Li was the second to move his chopsticks and he picked up all the vegetarian dishes. Xiang Qi and Xiang Yu were carnivores, so one of them picked up a duck wing while the other picked up chicken feet. When it was Fu Zheyin's turn, he picked up a small piece of pork trotter that had fallen on the plate and stuffed it into his mouth. It was fragrant at first, but it soon turned numb and spicy on the tip of his tongue. The meat was soft and tender, and even the bones seemed to have been stewed. The sauce rubbed against his mouth and brought out a sweet aftertaste. After swallowing the small piece of meat, it really melted in his mouth and left a rich aftertaste. It was different from Fujian's initial imagination. Once he tasted it, he really got carried away. Only tasting each dish and not eating more? No way. Fujian fully demonstrated to the audience what an adult man's appetite was. He wished he could bury his face in his bowl and enjoy the food. The netizens were speechless. This is like a pig entering a granary. Your Highness, what kind of delicacies haven't you eaten before? Do you really have to enjoy them so much? It's over, the calm and collected crown prince in my heart is gone. All that's left is this heartless eating machine in front of me. As for Zhang Juzhou, she had fallen into a painful struggle. Eat. Not eating. Ah. Xiangyi's clear voice sounded in her ears. Juzhou, go ahead and eat. The girl took the initiative to give her a piece of pork trotter. Didn't you say you wanted to eat this? Zhang Juzhou pulled a long face and said arrogantly, is that so? I don't even remember. If I ask you to do it, you will do it. If others ask you to do it, you will do it. Humph. Xiangyi said. Yes. She seemed to have realized something. Sorry, I'll change my chopsticks. She didn't notice that she was using her own chopsticks. Although she hadn't started eating yet, Zhang Juzhou might have minded it, so she didn't eat. She brought a clean plate for Zhang Juzhou and used the serving chopsticks to pick up some pork trotters, duck wings, mushrooms, and so on. She had gathered all the dishes on the platter. Seeing how careful Xiangyi was and how she treated her like a stranger, Zhang Juzhou was furious. Do I have to eat just because you asked me to? Why should I listen to you? Chapter 405. Xiangyi looked at Zhang Juzhou in bewilderment with her clear eyes. She was the one who said she wanted to eat. Why is she angry now? Women are really unpredictable. In the live stream, there were inevitably some haters who came out to criticize Zhang Juzhou because of her attitude. Welcome, Chief Zhang is slapping the vase fairy in the face online. She can't be bothered to care about you, and yet, she's giving you the cold shoulder. What a joke. I feel embarrassed for Xiangyi even through the screen. You should check if you're worthy of being friends with Zhang Juzhou or not. The actress is obviously jealous. Zhang Juzhou has already said that she wants to lose weight, but she's deliberately making Zhang Juzhou eat greasy and high-calorie food. What is she up to? She's so evil. The brothers of the Xiang family glanced at Zhang Juzhou. She couldn't hide her thoughts from them, but they couldn't be bothered to get involved in the matters between girls. Hence, they continued to eat separately. Xiangyi thought about it and said in a warm voice, Don't eat then? Do you have any other dishes you want to eat? I'll make them for you, or I can order some takeout for you like a light salad. Perhaps Zhang Juzhou just didn't want to eat the food she cooked. Xiangyi felt that she shouldn't force her. Zhang Juzhou glared at her. Is that how you persuade people to eat? Xiangyi was slightly embarrassed. I'm really not very good at this. For example, Zhang Juzhou's grandmother was very good at persuading people to eat. Whenever there were juniors in the family, she would enthusiastically make them eat. She would only persuade them to stop eating if they couldn't eat. Humph. Zhang Juzhou picked up her chopsticks and said arrogantly, Since you've already cooked, I'll try it. I'm telling you, if it's not delicious, I'll spit it out. Xiangyi nodded obediently. Atrocious. How can I be so cute? The tips of Zhang Juzhou's ears turned red. She avoided Xiangyi's gaze and lowered her head to scrutinize it. She then chose the tender and glossy pork trotter and took a bite. The world seemed to have suddenly frozen as the hustle and bustle turned into silence while the colors turned into black and white. Zhang Juzhou felt as if there were fireworks exploding in her head. Then a white light appeared in front of his eyes, and all of his senses became dull. Only his sense of taste was magnified countless times. He could acutely sense that the thick gravy was wrapped in the bouncy meat that was rich in collagen. It was extremely invasive and occupied his taste buds unstoppably. His saliva was secreted rapidly and he swallowed it down his throat. How is it? Xiangyi asked. Zhang Juzhou didn't answer, or rather, she answered with her actions. The little girl moved her chopsticks as if they were flying, crazily stuffing food into her mouth. The bones of the chicken feet came off with a light suck, and the meat of the duck wings came off in a few bites. The vegetables were even more so. One mouthful after another, she couldn't stop at all. Ha! Phew! Her lips were red from the spiciness, and there was a tingling and burning sensation spreading. However, the pain only intensified the stimulation, just like when one ate a spicy stick. The spiciness made one's brain buzz, but thousands of words could be condensed into one word. Awesome! Xiangyi handed her a bottle of soy milk at the right time. Jiang Zhuzhou sucked 2 mouthfuls with a straw and found that it wasn't enough. Hence, she hugged the bottle tightly and continued to eat the braised food. Her belly was bulging at a speed visible to the naked eye. Click! The buttons on the waist of her red checkered skirt suddenly burst open. Although she wasn't exposed, it happened to be recorded by the camera. The netizens were dumbfounded. Did she eat so much that her skirt burst open? Before the crowd had time to complain, they saw Xiangyi blocking the camera. Her milky white face was extremely serious. Don't shoot. Chapter 406. The staff were all stunned. Ever since the live stream began, they had never seen Sister E so fierce. Even when she threw the scumbag away yesterday, she still looked nonchalant. There were suddenly more comments in the live stream. A new cult has appeared. How can it be stagnant? Ijio, I can do it. Pretty girls should have sex with pretty girls. I'm on Jiu Yi's side. Sundra Big Sister X is gentle, rich and beautiful. She's like a fairy. Madam, please give me more food. Wow, Sister E is so gentle. Actually, Jiang Zhuzhou didn't expose herself. She even covered it immediately. At the dining table, Jiang Zhuzhou's face was flushed red, and she was so ashamed that she wished she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. She hurriedly sucked in her stomach and tried to pretend that nothing had happened. However, she had eaten too much and even drank 2 bottles of soy milk. Her stomach was so round that she couldn't suck it in at all. The men present were all very gentlemanly and didn't make fun of her. Xiangqi even took the initiative to ask, "Do you want me to stitch it up for you?" For the sake of making friends with Xiangyi, her brothers had always been worried sick. That was the difference between men and women. After all, there was a limit to how much care they could give Xiangyi. Some subtle warmth was energy that could only be transmitted between girls. No. Jiang Zhuzhou refused without even thinking about it. It's too embarrassing. All of a sudden, Xiangyi grabbed her wrist. Jiang Zhuzhou looked up and met the girl's clear eyes, which seemed to be filled with moonlight and were incredibly gentle. I'll take you to my room. Jiang Zhuzhou looked away awkwardly and didn't say anything. In the bedroom, Jiang Zhuzhou changed into a loose cotton linen dress and quietly poked her head out of the cloakroom. The first thing she saw was Xiangyi, who was helping her sew the buttons. The young girl skillfully threaded the needle and sewed the button. Her white wrist lightly circled it twice and successfully tied the knot. She used her teeth to break the knot, and then carefully used the ironing machine to iron the skirt. Jiang Zhuzhou was speechless. It was a wonderful feeling. They hadn't contacted each other for a long time, but they didn't become distant. But thinking of what Qin Wanyan said, Jiang Zhuzhou felt a little awkward. Xiangyi noticed her. Do you want to switch back? Or are you going to wear mine first? Jiang Zhuzhou deliberately said fiercely. Does your heart ache to wear your clothes? That's not what I meant. No. Jiang Zhuzhou covered her ears and said, I'm going out to eat. She went to the living room and sat down at the dining table. She hugged the pig trotter and began to gnaw on it. The Xiang brothers and Fu Jian had already moved to the sofa lounge. Fu Jian was perplexed when he saw this scene. Isn't she on a diet? Why are you still eating so much? Xiang Li sipped his tea and said, Mr. Fu, you must be single. Fu Jian was shocked. Huh. Dr. Xiang, how could you tell? You guys are too good at scientific research. Xiang Li smiled but said nothing. Li Jianyu interacted with Jiang Zhuzhou. Sis, what do you think of Sister Yi's culinary skills? Not very good, she said in a peeved tone. But you're enjoying your food. Even your dress has been ripped apart. Why are you still lying? Aren't you friends? Why are you taking the lead to slander Sister Yi? The word friends hit Jiang Zhuzhou's sore spot. She turned her head and said fiercely, I'm not friends with her. I unilaterally declare that she and I are biological sisters of different parents. There was an uproar in the live stream. Chapter 407. Does this mean that Sister E is her best friend? Bullshit, she clearly treats Sister E as her best friend. The haters stared at their keyboards in bewilderment. Someone like the Vase Fairy actually had a friend, and a close friend at that. Are we not fast enough to type? Before they could even argue, they got slapped in the face. In the production team of Eating Well for All 3 Meals, the director had arranged for someone to keep an eye on the movements of 2 under one roof. After hearing about this matter, everyone was even more convinced that there was definitely a script. Poach her. Poach her immediately. Poach her with an annual salary of 1,000,000 yuan. In the living room of the manor, Xiangyi stared at Zhang Jujiu in shock, unable to believe the scene in front of her. She subconsciously pinched her palm. The pain came clearly, confirming that everything at this moment was real. After Zhang Jujiu said those words angrily, her face, ears, and neck were all flushed and her shoulders trembled slightly. She was extremely ashamed, but she still pretended to be arrogant. Of course I don't care what she thinks. Even if she doesn't treat me as a friend, I won't take it to heart. Everyone was speechless. Miss, do you know that you're a tsundere? You may say that you don't care, but anyone who isn't blind can tell that you care a lot about it. Jujiu. Xiangyi murmured. Zhang Jujiu asked in displeasure. What? Xiangyi wanted to say something, but when she was about to say it, she habitually asked, do you want to eat dessert? Zhang Jujiu was even angrier. Is it that difficult to say that I treat you as a friend too? Is it that difficult? Xiangyi was actually a little embarrassed. Besides, she didn't have any close friends and didn't know how to get along with Zhang Jujiu at all. Hence, she could only treat Zhang Jujiu like how she had successfully wooed her brothers. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you, Zhang Jujiu said seriously. When her brothers heard this, their expressions were different, but they all felt the same. They were a little jealous. Xiangyi's words were like a password to Zhang Jujiu, but they could easily decipher it. When his younger sister said, I'll cook for you, there was basically no emotional meaning behind it. She simply liked to cook. When his younger sister said, I'll cook for you, it meant that she had a good impression of this person and was close to him. When his younger sister said, what do you want to eat? I'll make it for you, this meant that she had a strong impression of him. If it were a man, they would have suspected that Xiangyi was confessing. Zhang Jujiu pouted and said, I'm going to take an afternoon nap later, and then have afternoon tea. All right. I still want to go to the glass greenhouse to take pictures. Help me shoot. All right. I want to sleep with you tonight. Zhang Jujiu clenched her fists and said with a flushed face, you have to wear our sister's pajamas with me. Sure. Zhang Jujiu's eyes were glistening and she seemed to be trying to hide the joy in her heart. She lowered her head and took a few more bites of food, but the corners of her mouth were raised high. Her brothers. Was this the friendship between girls? In the live stream, the fans of the Ijo couple were celebrating. Sure Sui. Am I not worthy? Jujiu yes. Medic. Give me an injection of insulin. Woohoo, sleep together. Our Jujiu is the rightful wife. No one dares to refute, right? Sister E is so good at doting on others. Sob sob sob. Is this what sisterhood is like? Chapter 408. The netizens in the live stream chatted excitedly about the couple, and someone took screenshots of it and submitted them to a famous verified account. All of a sudden, they were all laughing and mocking Sure Sui. After Sure Sui attended the premiere and the celebratory banquet, Si Chuanbai showed her the trending searches. The man who had always been strict and meticulous was obviously trying to hold back his laughter at this moment. You've been despised by the netizens again. Sure Sui raised her eyebrows and noticed that he used the word again. After casually browsing through the process of the matter, he couldn't help but laugh. It's a good thing that Sister E has friends. After all, there was a 7-year age gap between him and Xiangyi, and the two of them didn't have much interaction in the past. However, he had seen how lonely she was when she was in school. She kept skipping grades and getting busy all the time. In his impression, Zhang Jujiu was the friend she had been hanging out with for the longest time. Si Chuanbai said, You're quite open-minded. Should I praise you for having a good attitude? The Ijo couple has already been created. Shui sat in the nanny van, crossed her long legs lazily, and slowly loosened her tie. Changed the navigation to the manor. Outside the window, light and shadows flashed and the scenery changed. The man said calmly, "Go back and teach the little girl what it means to be the main wife." Si Chuanbai was speechless. Indeed, he and the netizens were overthinking. So what if she's at Sundra? Shui has never lost. While Zhang Zhuzhou went to take a nap, the live stream was paused and Li Jinyu announced for everyone to take a 2-hour break. Xiangyu was in a state of excitement and couldn't fall asleep at all. She ran to the kitchen, picked up a taro, peeled it, and got ready to steam it to make mashed taro. She remembered that Zhang Zhuzhou liked it. Suddenly, a few tall figures walked in from the kitchen. Xiangli came over and took the initiative to peel the taro for Xiangyi. After the acupuncture, his hand had improved a lot. Xiangyu was sitting on a small stool and playing with a game console. His hand speed was astonishingly fast. Xiangqi leaned against the wall lazily and yawned, wondering why Xiangyu had gathered everyone. Sangchen stood tall and slender. Even though he was dressed in casual clothes, it was difficult to hide his oppressive aura. He said indifferently, "Let the family meeting begin." Xiangyi was slightly startled. She was hesitating whether she should put down the taro, but then she heard Xiangli say, "Relax. We're mainly talking about whether that person will come back." Xiangqi felt as if he had been struck by lightning. My guess can't be right? Xiangyu looked up with a blank expression. Sangchen glanced at Lao San and Lao Si, who were asking for a beating. He forced himself to be patient and explained to them how Xiangyi's body had been possessed for the past year. Although Xiangqi was surprised, he accepted it very well. Xiangyu was a little confused. Xiangyi steamed the clean taro and the purple potatoes that were used for coloring. Her tone was somewhat helpless as she said, "I asked Xiao Naofu, but it has no way of contacting the main system, so I'm not sure." Xiangyu? Wasn't Xiao Naofu just an ordinary kitten? Probably because his expression was too shocked. Xiangqi patted him on the shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Little uncle must be stupider than you." He would never guess that in the past year, little sister wasn't little sister. Xiangyu. Comparing him to little uncle? Thank you, but he wasn't comforted. Xiangli, who had the highest IQ, frowned. "If there's no way to take a shortcut, then we can only use the stupidest method." Everyone looked at him in unison. According to the known situation, the premise of soul replacement should be that little sister is injured or in a weak state. Then, the simplest way is to find someone to protect her 24 hours a day. Chapter 409. Sangchen asked, "Bodyguard? I'll go look for one and see if there are any suitable ones." Xiangqi interjected, "You have to find a female bodyguard. A male bodyguard can't be guaranteed to be around 24 hours a day." Xiangyu's brain twitched. "A boyfriend can." In an instant, the three brothers cast murderous glances at him. Xiangyu wished he could die on the spot. He said, "I was just kidding, is it funny? Haha. Ha ha ha." He laughed dryly as cold sweat broke out on his forehead, for fear that his brother would teach him a lesson. Sangchen glanced at him and couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He said calmly, "I'll make the arrangements." Xiangli said, "I think I can apply for official protection of family members. Let me make a call to confirm." Xiangqi exclaimed, "I'll go ask around too." Xiangyu said, "I'll ask my friends too." The few of them were very efficient. As soon as the taro and purple potatoes were cooked, Xiangyu learned that she had 10 bodyguards. The corners of her mouth twitched. Isn't that a little too much? Actually, I can protect myself too. 10 is too much. Don't let your guard down." "Don't worry, I can afford it." Xiangyi had no choice but to accept their good intentions. After the family meeting, the brothers left one after another. After all, they all had things to do. After sending her brothers away, Xiangyi was a little melancholic, but she soon accepted reality. She cherished it even more because it was too difficult to get together. Zhang Zhuzhou woke up from her afternoon nap and scurried out of the guest room to look for Xiangyi. After wandering around, she saw Xiangyi in the kitchen. The young girl was quietly preparing the ingredients for milk tea. which were her favorites such as mashed taro and taro balls. The light in the oven was on and the aroma of cookies wafted out. It was a warm and quiet scene. Ding! It was time for the oven to open. Xiangyi took out the cookies and tasted them, seemingly thinking that they tasted good. The young girl tilted her head and gave herself a thumbs up. Zhang Zhuzhou. Ah, my sisters are so cute. Sensing Zhang Zhuzhou's gaze, Xiangyi looked over and said with a smile, "You're awake. Do you want to go for afternoon tea?" Zhang Zhuzhou folded her arms arrogantly and said, "Since you've already invited me, I'll consider it." A second later she nodded. "All right, I've thought about it." Xiangyi. Really? Then I'll bring the food to the glass greenhouse. Zhang Zhuzhou sounded awkward, but her body was very honest as she took the initiative to share half of the burden with her. It just so happened that the staff had almost rested. Li Jianyu shouted and prepared to shoot the afternoon tea of the two girls. A few minutes later, the netizens received a push notification for the live broadcast. When they clicked on it, what appeared in front of them was a scene that looked like an idol drama. The wind was gentle, the clouds were light, and the distant mountains were beautiful. The sunlight was refracted through the glass, and the flowers and grass grew luxuriantly. On the round table covered with a lace tablecloth, there were delicate biscuits and milk tea. There were a few freesia in a slender porcelain bottle. The two girls were sitting opposite each other, leaning against the recliners and swaying slowly. The white and soft kitten was nestled in Xiangyi's arms, while the silly little Shiji was squatting by Zhang Zhuzhou's feet. Zhang Zhuzhou took a bite of the biscuits and milk tea, squinting her eyes in bliss. "I'm taking screenshots like crazy. This is so beautiful. The director is so good. This is my ideal life." Uh-huh. I think I saw Shui coming back. He's at the entrance at the bottom left corner of the screen. Let him go. Let him run away from home. Chapter 410. Ha ha ha. Are you serious about telling Shuringdi to run away from home? My mom is asking me why I'm laughing like a pig. The camera panned to a distant view. The man was dressed in a tailored black suit that accentuated his height and long legs. His tie was loosely tied, and a few locks of his hair were hanging down. He looked relaxed and casual. It was as if he was returning home. He locked his gaze on Xiangyi, who was in the glass greenhouse, and strode over with his long legs. The comments in the live stream were instantly flooded. Shuringdi in a suit can do it. His legs are at least 2 meters long. They're even better than models. He's so immersive, I feel like he's going to unbuckle his belt in the next second. Si Chuanbai was watching the live stream in the nanny van. When he saw the comments, a smile appeared on his face. Looking at the comments, it was indeed the status of the main wife. His phone vibrated and he picked it up. Anan's anxious voice came through the receiver. "Chuan, I think I've been scammed." Chuan, don't you think it's strange to call him Chuan? It sounds like you're taking advantage of me. And it sounds a little strange. Si Chuanbai interrupted his nonsense. This little colorful guy always said shocking things. He pressed his eyebrows. Get to the point. Someone claimed to be the director of the variety show National Mass Workout, and said that he wants Sister E to be a flying guest for the next episode. I don't think it's real, but I'm afraid it's true. Si Chuanbai raised his eyebrows. Even he was a little stunned. National Mass Workout was a national variety show that could be said to be the most popular variety show at the moment. It had recorded a total of 2 seasons, and the 3rd season was in preparation. Every season, the guests invited could be said to be the top or A-listers, or they were the senior big shots with a high status. Si Chuanbai took a deep breath and said, "Send me the contact information." 2 minutes later, Si Chuanbai confirmed that it was really the director of National Mass Workout. Anan was extremely excited on the other end of the phone. Our girl is so capable. Si Chuanbai smiled and said, "She's quite capable." In a sense, Xiangyi's popularity could be said to have risen from C-list to A-list. However, the industry wouldn't recognize her status if she didn't have any film or television projects. But if the resources could keep up, if he became part of Miss Xiangyi's family, he would be able to become an S-lister for free. A glass greenhouse. Shui greeted Zhang Zhuzhou politely. As soon as the suave, gentle and handsome man appeared, Zhang Zhuzhou felt that her friend had changed. For example, her tone was inexplicably soft. You're back. Have a seat. For example, his attitude was inexplicably warm. Here biscuits, cakes and fruits. Another example was his gaze, which was inexplicably fixed. You look good in this. Shui had intended to go back and change her clothes after greeting him, but at this moment she blinked and threw the thought of changing to the back of her mind. She sat down steadily and said, Thank you. You're also very beautiful. Jiang Jujo gritted her teeth and thought, why does it feel like an old married couple? Cough cough. Jiang Jujo coughed hard a few times to get Xiang Yi's attention. You said you wanted to take a photo, help me. Sure. The two girls met and began to study which software and filter were better. A certain best actor quietly raised his hand and unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Whoosh, Xiang Yi subconsciously looked over, just like the attraction of the sun to sunflowers. Chapter 4:11. His black tie was loose and the top of his snow-white shirt was slightly open, revealing his clean and clear collarbone. His skin seemed to be a mixture of moonlight and snow, fair and delicate. Xiang Yi seemed to have been bewitched as she couldn't look away for a while. I think this retro filter is quite nice. It gives off the feeling of a Renaissance oil painting. Jiang Jujo murmured, only to realize that Xiang Yi was distracted. She looked in the direction of her gaze. Damn. How can my sister be bewitched by a man? Jiang Jujo was puzzled. She was extremely frustrated and poked Xiang Yi's arm with her finger. We agreed that you would take photos of me. Xiang Yi seemed to have woken up from a dream. Ahem, I'll take photos for you then. Stand over there, the light is better. Jiang Jujo happily went to take photos and even raised her eyebrows at Shui provocatively. Men are bullshit. Sisters are treasures. In the live stream, the netizens were delighted to see this scene. Jealous Sui, disdainful Jujo. Shui is a man, but his collarbone is even more pronounced than mine. Oh my god, I love men who are relaxed, lazy and abstinent. Shui, undo a few more buttons. I don't lack this bit of traffic. Xiang Yi patiently took photos of Jiang Jujo. After taking dozens of photos, the two of them huddled together to discuss which one looked better. Thanks to her narcissistic third brother, Xiang Yi's photography skills and aesthetic sense were both on point. Jiang Jujo looked like a noble girl from the Middle Ages. A professional photographer had once taken photos of Jiang Jujo, and the composition and angle of the photos were impeccable. However, Jiang Jujo felt that Xiang Yi's photos were thousands of times better than those taken by a professional photographer. However, her tone was still arrogant. You're just a so-so. You haven't improved at all after so many years. Her body, however, was very honest. She held Xiang Yi's arm with her hand, which was a gesture of intimacy between sisters. Shui saw this scene. He calmly picked up the glass of water and sipped slowly. Swoosh, Xiang Yi looked over again like a good-for-nothing. Under the warm light, every part of the man's face was perfect. He raised his snow-white neck, his Adam's apple moving up and down as he swallowed. His pale thin lips were wet with water. He frowned and licked the corner of his lips, seeming to be intentional or unintentional. As if sensing Xiang Yi's gaze, he looked up and his thin lips parted into a thin but seductive smile. Jiang Jujo thought, damn you dog of a man. Half of the netizens in the livestream were screaming and the other half were quacking. Covering my mouth can't stop me from screaming like a groundhog. Brother, I can do this. I really can. Goose 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 goose. Jiang Jujo's expression is hilarious. You didn't expect this, did you? The person in front of you is a Grand Slam best actor. Seriously, Shui is fighting for attention, right? Wasn't it? Sure enough, he was a man with a mental age of 10. I laughed so hard that my neighbors within a 10-mile radius would have to rely on hearing aids for the rest of their lives. Jiang Jujo gritted her teeth and thought to herself, my good sister will never fall for such a dog of a man. In the next second, she heard Xiang Yi ask gently, do you want to take a photo? Shui blinked and said with an innocent expression, but I'm not wearing any makeup. Will I look ugly in the photos? I'm so envious of Sister E for making you look so good in the photos. Jiang Jujo was speechless. Isn't she just saying, sister, you're so good at makeup. Unlike me who doesn't even know how to put on foundation? Chapter 4:12. The staff at the scene had a hard time trying to suppress their laughter. But the netizens watching the live stream didn't have so many scruples. She's so green as soon as she opens her mouth. Oh my god. Shui is so good at variety shows. I can't take it anymore. Look at Xiao Naofu and little Shiji's expressions. I'm rolling around in bed laughing. Only then did the crowd notice that Xiao Naofu had taken a few steps back with a look of disdain, seemingly trying to draw a line between him and Shui. Little Shiji had no idea what was going on and chased after Xiao Naofu while wagging its tail continuously. It was a vivid illustration of what it meant to dislike dogs and cats. However, Xiangyi retorted seriously. No, you look good in all the photos. Shui was slightly stunned, but after a moment, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. It seemed that Xiangyi had an inexplicable trust in him at all times. Just that, he suddenly felt a sense of guilt. He stopped teasing her and said in a low voice, I'll leave it to Sister E then. Xiangyi took out her cell phone and began taking photos of him. Zhang Jojo stomped her feet in anger, causing countless viewers to laugh hysterically. What kind of magical scene is this? Other people's scenes were thrilling, and repeatedly testing the edge of death. The scenes on Two Under One Roof were hilarious, and so hilarious that their abs would pop out at any moment. This scene, without a doubt, became one of the famous scenes that fans of Two Under One Roof often relived. Xiangyi took dozens of photos of Shui with an impartial attitude. I'll send them to you later. The young girl remembered what Anan said last time. Shui's Weibo account was full of weeds all year round, and she couldn't be bothered to open it for business. Hence, she asked, do you want to post a 9-grid Weibo post? There should be a lot of people looking forward to it. Shui nodded and said, sure. All of a sudden, the countless Shui sisters in front of the screen fell silent. Most of them didn't have a good impression of Xiangyi at first. After all, Xiangyi's reputation was too poor previously, and she had been criticized on the internet for nearly a year. Hence, everyone would be affected and prejudiced against her. But after Shui joined Two Under One Roof, he really changed. He used to be on set all year round, and there was almost no activity except for his work. His fans couldn't catch any traces of his life, and many even pessimistically thought that he didn't care about his fans at all. However, Two Under One Roof allowed everyone to see the relaxed side of Shui, especially his interactions with Xiangyi. Only then did they realize that he also had a childish side. When he was childish, he would even bully kittens. This Shui might not be perfect, but she was very real. Now, Xiangyi even urged Shui to open for business. That feeling was really subtle. Sometimes there was no reason to hate someone. Similarly, having a good impression of someone was just as sudden. Shui was typing something on her Weibo account while Zhang Jojo seized the opportunity to grab Xiangyi's wrist. That. The proud and pampered young miss was now stammering, her small fists clenched tightly. Xiangyi. Everyone's curiosity was piqued by her. Zhang Jojo closed her eyes and finally made up her mind to express what she found hard to say. Hey, can you take a selfie with me? Xiangyi's cherry lips opened and she hesitated for a few seconds. Can't I take a few more? Zhang Jojo said resolutely. Sure. I can do it. I'm super. Chapter 413. In the live stream, girls who don't mean what they say are so cute. Sister E is really the Terminator of Tsundere. She's so good at curing Tsundere. Jojo can do it. Shui, can you do it or not? I'm sick of answering this question. Shui can't do it. Okay, next question. The two girls chose various filters and decorations to take a selfie. The netizens exclaimed that it was so realistic that it was simply a replica of the selfies they took with their sisters. At the same time, Shui posted on Weibo. The caption was simple, but it was enough to make one's imagination run wild. Shui. Sister E took it. The Shui sisters were a little upset when they saw the text, but after seeing the picture, they screamed. The man in the picture was wearing a white shirt and a black suit. His tie was loose and his collar was open. His gaze was deep and doting, and he looked lazy. He was a refined scum who was abstinent and passionate. The number of comments instantly exceeded 10,000. He's like a boyfriend. He's finally open for business. I'm covering my mouth and crying. Thank you, Sister E. I announced that Sister E is the prettiest sister in the world. Shui put away his cell phone, too embarrassed to continue teasing Xiangyi. So he got ready to go back and change his clothes. The corner of his shirt was suddenly tugged. He turned around and met her bright eyes. Sister E, do you want to take a selfie? Xiangyi asked. There was a trace of surprise in the depths of Shui's eyes, as if he didn't expect that Xiangyi would take the initiative to ask him for a selfie. He smiled and said, yes. Little did he know that although he didn't do anything this time in Zhang Juzhou's eyes, he was playing hard to get and retreating in order to advance. I'm so angry. Due to the height difference between the two of them, Xiangyi raised her cell phone high, but before she could press the camera button, it landed in a pair of bony hands. The man's magnetic voice sounded in her ear. Let me do it. Xiangyi. Okay. Seeing this scene, Zhang Juzhou began to stomp her feet again. Juzhou, why do you have a problem with the floor? Fu Jian yawned and appeared beside Zhang Juzhou while his hair was messy and messy. No one woke him up. He had been taking an afternoon nap until now. Fu Jian seriously suspected that he had been forgotten by the production team. Zhang Juzhou was infuriated. I'm so angry. Ignore me. Fu Jian replied. Oh. With one hand in his pocket, Fu Jian sauntered over to Xiangyi and Shui. Shamelessly, he leaned over and said, Senior Sure, are you guys taking a selfie? Count me in. Let's activate a pig head special effect. Shui smiled, and the look in her eyes was very kind. The netizens in the live stream were laughing so hard that they were almost out of breath. Fu Jian. What a straight man. Suazi. You look like F** King Pig. F***CK. Why is Fu Jian so funny? I can't control myself as soon as he appears. Fu Jian's manager almost fainted when he saw this scene through the live stream. Bro. I told you to clear your name. Why are you ruining your own image? I told you to talk less, do more, and pay attention to your image. Have you forgotten all about it? Your brain is a good thing. Forget it if you don't use it well. You can't have not used it even once after more than 20 years, can you? The manager drank some oral liquid and opened the pop-up comments while trembling. He was already prepared for Fu Jian to be criticized by the netizens until he quit the entertainment industry. Whoosh. The screen was filled with ha 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 comments that were so dazzling that it hurt the manager's eyes. The manager was speechless. Chapter 4:14. 1 minute 2 minutes. The expected flood of negative comments didn't appear. On the contrary, the netizens' comments were all positive. Ha 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 ha. Why can you send a voice message? Fu Jian is quite suitable to be a comedian. Actually, he's funny. His Highness turns out to be a silly boy in real life. I'm done. To be honest, Fu Jian has been enjoying the benefits of being a crown prince for the past 2 years, and I've long been tired of him. He really made the right choice to take on two under one roof. His agent was too far-sighted. Getting rid of the shackles of being a crown prince is the way to long-term development. Seeing this, the manager's eyes were in a trance. Great foresight? What does that have to do with me? The reason why he gave Fu Jian this job was really just to clear his name. Is this a blind cat that chanced upon a dead mouse? It's so dark that it's naturally clear. Next, Fu Jian followed Xiangyi to Little Rabbit Farm. He completely let himself go and revealed his talkative personality. He could even talk to cows for a long time while milking cows. When he was done, he suddenly realized, wait a minute, aren't I here to clear my name? He recalled his manager's earnest instructions and all sorts of knowledge about setting up a character. It's over, why can't this knowledge enter my mind? Zhang Juzhou was still sulking and kicking pebbles nonchalantly. Seeing his expression, she said in disdain, Hey, are you retarded? Fu Jian said with a sullen expression. My fans are definitely going to stop following me. Zhang Juzhou expressed her doubts. You actually have fans? Am I living in an illusory world and everything is fake? Actually, I don't have a single fan. Seeing that he was about to break down, Zhang Juzhou said awkwardly, Okay, you're actually not too bad looking. It should be normal for you to have a few fans. After all, an ordinary person like me has hundreds of thousands of fans on foreign social media platforms. The netizens were speechless. Fu Jian, ordinary Zhang Juzhou? Xiangyi came over with a basket of duck eggs and was about to go back to marinate them when she saw that Fu Jian was not in a good mood. She asked gently, "Fu Jian, are you okay?" Jiang Zhuzhou secretly pointed at Fu Jian, and then at her head, hinting to her that there was something wrong with his head. Xiangyi. Fu Jian sat down on the ground and hugged his knees. He exuded a dejected aura. "You don't understand. They all like me because of a character. If they find out that I'm not that character, no one will like me anymore," Jiang Zhuzhou said. "What nonsense are you spouting? So you're an actress? I thought you were a crosstalk artist." Fu Jian. His heart felt as if it had been stabbed by a knife. Jiang Zhuzhou said, "Since they like you because of one role, wouldn't they like you 10 times more if you play 10 roles? Don't tell me you don't have a script to act in?" Fu Jian. One stab after another. While the netizens were laughing, Fu Jian's fans felt sorry for him. They wanted to comfort him, but they didn't know where to start. As Fu Jian said, they did like him because of the crown prince. At this moment, Xiangyi's calm and indifferent voice sounded. "You're the one who gives life to the characters. The characters are liked because of you. Fu Jian, why do you have to act? You're you." Chapter 4:15. Bang. Bang bang. Every word she said was like a drum that struck Fu Jian's heart hard. The girl's eyes were clear and her tone was firm. Every word she said gave him a strong conviction. "You are you. You are you." Fu Jian fell into deep thought. In front of the screen, Fu Jian's fans also came back to their senses. Yeah, the character design of the Crown Prince wasn't very likable. It was Fu Jian's acting that shaped the soul of the Crown Prince. They cried for him, rejoiced for him, got angry for him, and felt aggrieved for him. It has always been the actor who brings the character to life. Xiangyi said seriously, "You're the Crown Prince, but you're also the actor Fu Jian." The fans. "Ah, she's so eloquent. Xiangyi is really a girl with a strong sense of self-awareness. That's rare. Sister E, please come out with a book as soon as possible. If you're so eloquent, say more." The confusion in Fu Jian's eyes slowly dissipated at this moment. All along, the team had been asking him to maintain his persona and maintain his popularity. He was also very anxious and felt that he was limited by the character of the Crown Prince and couldn't get out of it no matter what. In the past 2 years he had acted in a few dramas, but compared to the other roles they didn't seem that outstanding. The pressure from the outside world made Fu Jian more and more anxious. Am I not good enough? Am I really at the peak of my career? Am I only able to keep that one classic role for the rest of my life? At the most extreme moment, he even developed feelings of self-loathing. Fu Jian even agreed with what others said, that he was lucky and that the role made him who he was. However, Xiangyi's words made him sober up. Fu Jian was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. "Sister E, you're so nice. You're my life mentor and guiding light." He wanted to hold Xiangyi's hand, but Jiang Zhuzhou smacked it away mercilessly. "Pushed, don't try to take advantage of E." Fu Jian sniffled and asked sincerely, "Sister E, do you have anything else to say to me?" What Xiangyi said must be true and wise. He was going to write everything down in a small notebook. The next second, Xiangyi asked calmly, "When you leave, do you want to take a jar of salted duck eggs with you?" Fu Jian. Question mark. The duck eggs this time are big, and they are all double yolk eggs. After marinating, the golden yolk will drip with oil when poked. Fu Jian? You don't like it? What about bringing a jar of kimchi? I've made cabbage, radish, and beans. I've also made soy sauce and chili sauce. There are also many kinds of jam. You can take your time to choose. To the production team, Fu Jian and the others were guests. But to Xiangyi, they were all guests. How could she leave empty-handed? After a moment of silence, Fu Jian suddenly sobbed and exclaimed miserably, "Xiangyi, Wu. I also want to unilaterally announce that you are my biological sister from a different mother." Jiang Zhuzhou exclaimed, "Get lost, you plagiarized my poem." Fu Jian seemed to be on steroids as he cleaned the house, chopped firewood, and fed the chickens. He couldn't stop at all. Sitting on the swing, Jiang Zhuzhou was as angry as a blowfish as she stared at Xiangyi, who was pickling salted duck eggs in the courtyard, as well as Shi Sui, who was assisting her. Why aren't you coaxing me? Atrocious." She bit her lip, jumped off the swing, walked towards Xiangyi, and stood still. "I'm angry. I'm super angry. I'll give you a chance to coax me. I won't wait until it's too late. Humph. Chapter 4:16. Thud. The duck egg in Xiangyi's hand fell into the mud mixed with salt water and yellow soil, causing a few drops of mud to splatter. Huh. Why are you angry? Jiang Zhuzhou clenched her fists tightly. You idiot. It turns out that in this world, what's more difficult than reading and understanding is a girl's heart. The pop-up comments in the live stream were filled with joy. Sister E, as expected of you. You're a straight woman. Ha 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 ha, Sister E, you're angry at Jojo. Ejo is so sweet. I'm going to eat it. All of a sudden, the man's low laughter fell into her ears. He said in a gentle and teasing tone, "Isn't our Sister E very good at coaxing people?" Xiangyi seemed to be in a dilemma. She only knew how to give out candy, but her hands were so dirty. How could she take it? Looking at Shi Sui's clean hands, she suddenly had an idea and nudged Shi Sui with her elbow. "Help me get the things in my left pocket." Shi Sui readily took out a candy and handed it to Jiang Zhuzhou. "Here, Miss Jiang, have a candy." Not only was Jiang Zhuzhou not comforted, she was so infuriated that she wanted to vomit blood. Seeing that Jiang Zhuzhou was about to fly into a rage, Xiangyi successfully appeased her. "I have a gift for you," Jiang Zhuzhou thought. Oh. After marinating the salted duck egg, Xiangyi washed her hands and then took out a small box with a plain packaging. Feeling a little embarrassed, she said, "Sorry, your birthday has already passed. Can this be a gift to make up for it?" Jiang Zhuzhou raised her chin arrogantly and said, "It depends on my mood." She opened the box, and a beautiful necklace came into view. The chain was slender and exquisite, and the red drop-shaped pendant was gorgeous and dazzling. The pop-up comments in the live stream sneered at the necklace. Doesn't the vase fairy claim to be fair, rich, and beautiful? She's giving a crystal as a gift? It's beautiful, but the crystal is too cheap. Everyone knows that crystals are worthless. Jiang Zhuzhou treats her like a good sister, but what about her? She's fooling her like a fool. As soon as the haters started criticizing, they heard Jiang Zhuzhou's surprised voice. "Pigeon's blood ruby? Did you dig it out from your mine?" Xiangyi nodded. "Yes, this is the one with the best transparency, color, and cutting quality." In an instant, someone came out in the bullet screen to explain frowny face Pigeon's blood ruby is an extremely pure ruby with a hint of indistinct blue. Its global production isn't high. Every one of them is worth a fortune. There were also people who began to recognize each other from afar. Gem mine? Sister E, I'm your long-lost sister. I'm really rich, I'm kneeling. Mommy, do you think my kneeling posture is standard? The trolls. This F*King shiny thing wasn't a crystal, but a pigeon's blood ruby. Do you like it? Xiangyi asked cautiously. Jiang Zhuzhou looked up at the sky with fireworks in her heart. However, she said arrogantly, "It's all right, it's passable." After waiting for a few seconds, Jiang Zhuzhou saw that Xiangyi was still not moving. She puffed up her cheeks and said, "Help me put it on. I can't reach it." Xiangyi smiled and helped her put on the necklace. The pendant hung in the middle of her collarbone, making her skin look exceptionally fair. Jiang Zhuzhou glanced at Shi Sui smugly as if to say, "I have a gift but you don't." To her surprise, in the next instant Shi Sui sighed softly. He had a firm grasp of the pitiful, innocent, and pure tone of a white lotus flower. Other children have gifts, when will I get one? Chapter 4:17. The fragrance of the tea that wafted over made Jiang Zhuzhou confused. Does this dog grow green tea at home? Why would Sister E like such a dog? I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. Xiangyi blinked and remembered that there was a ruby in the jewelry cabinet. Although it was not as high quality as the one she gave Jiang Zhuzhou, it was much better than the one she gave Jiang Zhuzhou. It was the size of a baby's fist and it was glowing. I'll give it to him secretly at night, lest others misunderstand and affect Shi Sui's reputation. In the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. There was porridge, side dishes, omelets, and salted duck eggs from Little Rabbit Farm. Fu Jian said, that's good. I'll be able to satisfy my appetite without getting fat." He was a male artist who had to maintain his figure, and the sumptuous lunch he had at noon was too much for him to take. "I should be able to bear with it at night, right?" Fu Jian picked up an omelette and started chewing. The ingredients for the omelette were the eggs laid by Xiangyi's chickens, which Fu Jian had collected. He then mixed them with flour and a few vegetables to form a thin omelette. He also added some pepper to make it taste better. The pale yellow omelette was still warm, and it was decorated with chopped vegetables. It was so thin that it was almost transparent. The original omelette was rich in aroma, and it could also be rolled in chili oil according to one's taste. The fresh and spicy taste would fill one's taste buds. Hey! Fu Jian's pupils dilated in disbelief. What kind of immortal is Sister Yi? How can she make an omelette taste so good? Hence Fu Jian, who had been saying that there was no possibility of him gaining weight, ate a biscuit in a few bites. Within a short period of time, he had devoured 8 biscuits like a whirlwind. Xiangyi was dumbfounded. Is a male artist's appetite that big? In comparison, Shui ate too little. Is she deliberately eating less for the sake of being on camera? In Xiangyi's mind, she imagined the pitiful Shui going to work even though she was hungry. The expression on her fair and clean face became more and more solemn. She went into the kitchen and deftly spread out the pancakes. She picked up 2 pancakes for Shui. Shui was puzzled. Xiangyi pulled a long face. Eat more. If you get any thinner, you'll look like a paper person. Her original intention was to remind Shui that being too skinny was actually not good looking, but Shui misunderstood and thought that she was despising her. Not in good shape? The man raised his eyebrows and decided to put fitness on the agenda to make his abdominal muscles more obvious. Dinner ended with Fu Jian burping. After the meal, Fu Jian lamented, I can't go on like this. I'm going to gain 3 pounds every meal. He then changed into his sportswear and went for a run. Zhang Juzhou wasn't considered a guest and she didn't care about her image either. Hence, she openly swiped her cell phone in the living room. After returning to China, she found out that Xiangyi actually had a live broadcast variety show, but she didn't have the time to watch it. At this time, she wanted to catch up on the previous broadcast, but she accidentally clicked on today's live broadcast. The live broadcast room was divided into the main one and the personal one. Without any hesitation, Zhang Juzhou chose Xiangyi's personal live broadcast room. The pop-up comments were automatically turned on and most of them were praising her. Zhang Juzhou. Why are these people so good at bragging? Some viewers discovered that Zhang Juzhou was watching the live broadcast, and the comments were flooding in quickly. Miss, is the violin difficult to learn? Do you know that you're very ill-mannered? So what if you're rich? I'm curious why you're friends with Xiangyi. What's so good about her? I don't get it. Chapter 418. Don't you think Xiangyi is too pretentious? It must be tiring to get along with such a person. The comments were all over the screen, making her dizzy. Zhang Juzhou skipped over all the comments that were criticizing her and accurately captured the comments that were defaming Xiangyi. Are these people full of themselves? Yi is so cute, why is she being defamed? Zhang Juzhou exclaimed angrily. You guys are heartless. What right do you have to criticize Yi? When the haters realized that Zhang Juzhou had really seen the comments, they became even more vicious. I still like girls like Zhang Juzhou who are genuine. Xiangyi is too pretentious. Isn't she tired of pretending to be perfect every day? Miss, blink when you're threatened. You weren't like this when you first arrived. Why are you defending Xiangyi now? At the end of the day, the Vase Fairy is just a variety show star. Besides, apart from 2 Under One Roof, she doesn't have any other decent variety show resources, let alone a representative work. Although I admit that Xiangyi is a little popular now, it's just a castle in the air. Without any works, her popularity is like a plate of sand that can be blown away by the wind. How can 2 Under One Roof continue to be live-streamed? When this variety show ends, she'll definitely be ruined. Zhang Juzhou looked at the comments in disbelief. Has he always been criticized like this? Why is there so much malice between people on the internet? She belatedly realized that there was something wrong with Qin Wanyan's words. In the past year, she rarely contacted Xiangyi and only met her for a short while at the Xiang family's old residence. At that time, Qin Wanyan was also present and pestered her to add her contact number. Later on, Qin Wanyan would send her messages from time to time, asking about her well-being and showing her concern. Those words gave Zhang Juzhou, who was far away in a foreign country, a warm comfort. Hence, She once regarded Qin Wanyan as a friend. After returning to China, Qin Wanyan had asked her out for a meal. During the meal, Qin Wanyan mentioned that Xiangyi's personality had changed drastically. Xiangyi was cold-blooded and heartless to her friends. She was in love and only had men in her eyes. She didn't even treat her sisters as friends. She even complained that she had accidentally offended Xiangyi, and Xiangyi wanted to kill her. Now her company was gone, her career was ruined, her fans had left her, and her acting career was coming to an end. Hence, Qin Wanyan wanted Zhang Juzhou to plead on her behalf and ask Xiangyi to let her off. Zhang Juzhou naturally wouldn't believe her completely, but she was more or less affected. When she first arrived, her attitude towards Xiangyi wasn't very good. Zhang Juzhou felt extremely guilty when she thought about how she had caused Xiangyi to be scolded because of her attitude. Just then his phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Wanyan. First, it was a weather forecast that reminded her that the temperature would drop tomorrow. She then said, "I'm so envious. Xiangyi treats you like a good sister unlike me. I don't know how I offended her. That's why I ended up in this state." Zhang Juzhou squinted and thought about how Shui looked in the afternoon. She gritted her teeth and typed rapidly. She replied, "Xiangyi won't bully others. You said that she bullied you? She must have. You deserve it." Qin Wanyan, who was on the other end of the screen, was speechless. Zhang Juzhou raised her little face and said fiercely to the camera, "Xiangyi is not like what you guys are saying. She's the best and most gentle girl in the world. If you guys keep spouting nonsense, I'll make you bald." Chapter 419. Jiang Yi said in a menacing tone. There were no cameramen in the living room at this moment and there were only fixed camera positions. In the director's room, Li Jinyu and the others were eating omelets and side dishes when they heard Zhang Juzhou's words. Everyone. Huh? Ah, she's a little cute. In the live stream, the netizens were also a little surprised as they didn't expect Zhang Juzhou to say such a thing. You want me to make you bald? That's not necessary. I'm getting involved, my scalp is starting to hurt. Even if you want to make me bald, you have to make me bald. Everyone look at your heads, do you have any hair left? Dog head, dog head. All of a sudden, the comments section was filled with the silly netizens insulting each other. However, there were still some people who refused to give up. The angrier Zhang Juzhou was, the more smug they were. They were sarcastic and sarcastic. They would say whatever they could to infuriate her the most. Zhang Juzhou clenched her fists tightly, wishing she could go online and beat those bastards up. A clear and gentle voice saved Zhang Juzhou's bad mood in time. "Jojo, can I wear these pajamas?" It was E. That realization made Zhang Juzhou calm down. She turned around and saw that Xiangyi had picked up 2 pajamas, one of which was pink and white with rabbit ears and the other was creamy yellow with bear ears. Xiangyi remembered everything she said casually. Zhang Juzhou suddenly felt less angry. What's the point of being calculative with fools? They're already very pitiful for being brainless. It's all right. Despite saying that, Zhang Juzhou quickly went to take a shower and then changed into the pajamas with bear ears. Before going to the living room, she paused in her tracks and turned back to pick up her violin case. Beside the bookshelf, Xiangyi was flipping through a book on archery. When she saw Zhang Juzhou coming out with a violin, she smiled and asked, "What song do you want to play?" Zhang Juzhou corrected her. "What song should we play?" With a serious expression she asked, "Can we play together?" Of course, Xiangyi wouldn't disagree with such a small request from her best friend. "Sure, shall we go to the violin room then?" All of a sudden, the pop-up comments were full of mockery. "Please, she's the chief of Orpheus. Are you worthy? A student of folk music shouldn't embarrass herself in front of a student of classical music." Wasn't Zhang Juzhou defending Xiangyi just now? Why did she change her mind again? Asking Xiangyi to perform with her is like asking the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground. There was no camera installed in the piano room, so Li Jinyu hurriedly asked the cameraman to go over. "Ruanqing, you're that assured? Aren't you afraid that Xiangyi will screw up?" Li Jinyu said casually, "I admit that I'm gambling, but I think Sister E will let me win." He did not believe in himself, but he believed in Ruanqing. Ruanqing raised her eyebrows. She did not say anything, but her gaze was fixed on the screen. In the piano room, The members of the Xiang family all knew one or two musical instruments. There was a wide variety of musical instruments in the zither room. In addition to the perennial Western instruments, there were also zither, flutes, and other traditional instruments. Seeing Xiangyi wandering around the traditional instruments, the spicy tutu girls were worried for her. However, they saw her skimming past the traditional instruments and finally choosing a cello. Huh. It's not a 3-string or an electric guitar, but a cello? Someone mocked. Come on, this is a cello. How dare she choose it just because she knows how to play it? However, the moment the girl sat down and picked up the bow, her aura seemed to have suddenly changed. Chapter 420. She lowered her eyes, and her long eyelashes cast a faint shadow on her fair face. Her hand that was holding the bow was slender and soft. Her knuckles were slightly protruding, and her pale blue veins were clearly visible. She was low-key, not ostentatious but elegant and calm. Even though she was wearing cute bunny ears pajamas, she looked like she was holding a cello recital in a gorgeous gown. It had been a long time since she touched the cello. Xiangyi first tried to play it, and then tuned it unhurriedly. Someone retorted. Is there something wrong with you? What are you delaying for? If you know how to play it, just admit it. What's the point of pretending? At this moment, a golden pop-up comment appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The golden pop-up comment was a privilege given to the Hall of Fame streamers by the Xingqian app. Generally, those who could enter the Hall of Fame were all famous streamers on the Xingqian app. The person who posted the comment was Little Nocturne, a streamer with 1 million fans in the music section. Little Nocturne. She didn't use any tuner or software to help her, nor did she ask Zhang Juzhou to play a standard note for her. If she's not pretending, she must have an absolute sense of sound, right? The golden pop-up comment appeared on the screen for 15 seconds before disappearing. Enough for countless netizens to see it clearly. Wow! She's a living Nocturne. Nocturne, when are you going to live stream? I want to hear you play the piano. Reflect on how long you haven't live streamed. Why are you watching someone else's live stream? Absolute sense of sound? Sounds impressive. Does the vase fairy actually have such a thing? Little Nocturne, who was in front of the screen, was also a little uncertain. Absolute sense of sound referred to the ability to distinguish the specific pitch of a sound without any reference pitch. This included the sound of rain, thunder, and even the sound of a door opening in nature. In the ears of people with absolute sense of sound, these sounds were like the melodies in a staff. There was no need for deliberate practice. They were born with it. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a 1 in a million talent. Even the Orpheus Orchestra that Zhang Juzhou was in, which had gathered the top young performers from all over the world, not everyone had an absolute sense of sound. However, when Xiangyi finished tuning, Little Nocturne's eyes lit up in front of the screen. She really had it. There was no lack of people who knew music in the live stream. I'm going to kneel down to Sister E. This tone is even more accurate than mine with a tuner. Other things aside, this talent alone is enough to beat all the keyboard warriors here. Go to sleep with your bathwater, okay? No wonder the Sanxian and electric guitar are so awesome. Wu Xiangyi. How is this a gift from the heavens? It's like the heavens are chasing after us to feed us. Xiangyi gestured to Zhang Juzhou to indicate that she was okay. Zhang Juzhou nodded, and in the next second, the melodious sound of the violin instantly caught everyone's ears. The chief violinist of the Orpheus Orchestra definitely lived up to his name. Even those who didn't know much about music could feel that Zhang Juzhou's playing was particularly pleasant. A golden bullet screen appeared on the screen of the live broadcast room. Little Nocturne. Such terrifying strength. In reality, Little Nocturne was also a student of a top music academy abroad, and was surrounded by many big shots. Hence he could recognize how strong Zhang Juzhou was. A moment later, the clear and beautiful sound of the violin was mixed with the deep and vigorous sound of the cello. It was the best accompaniment in the textbook, but it instantly made Little Nocturne's scalp turn numb. Chapter 421. It was just like in the vast sea of people. Some people were born with a spotlight that was dazzling and eye-catching. At this moment, the sound of the cello gave off that feeling. It was clearly a foil, but it became an existence that couldn't be ignored. How many instruments does she know? Little Nocturne muttered. For most of the netizens watching the live stream, Although they didn't have as sharp a hearing as Little Nocturne and didn't know much about the techniques of playing instruments, they all had the same feeling. This ensemble is so nice. Unfortunately, I'm uncultured. I can go anywhere with the word F***ck. Xiangyi can even play the cello. Excellent. Yes, it's nice. For the professionals, it was even more shocking. The song that Zhang Jujo played was called Prelude to Spring. The rhythm was cheerful and it was full of the vigorous vibe of early spring. Correspondingly, it was also extremely difficult and had high requirements for the performer's skills. They weren't surprised that Zhang Jujo could reach such a level. However, she was a student of traditional folk music, but she actually played the cello so well too. Many people had complicated feelings. They originally thought that Xiangyi was only good at folk music, but they didn't expect her to be equally good at Western instruments. This was simply a heavenly performance at the level of cheating. Besides, she actually went to the entertainment industry instead of using her impressive talent and abilities. What's she up to? How can the professional music students endure that? The song gradually reached the climax, and at this moment Zhang Jujo suddenly showed off a relaxed series of bowing moves that were ingenious and full of vitality. Immediately afterwards, she didn't play according to the original melody, and instead improvised. Xiangyi looked up and met her gaze calmly in the air. Without saying anything, she changed the finger movements of her left hand, while her right hand danced along with Zhang Jujo's melody. There were almost no pauses and she perfectly matched Zhang Jujo's improvisation. Little Nocturne : The golden pop-up comments appeared again with a series of exclamation marks, which was enough to show Little Nocturne's excitement. He immediately jumped up from the sofa and turned on the livestream device that was fixed to the tripod. While listening to Xiangyi and Zhang Jujo's improvisation, his slender and fair fingers landed on the black and white keys. The impromptu performance of the two became a trio. Little Nocturne's fans received the notification and clicked on it with great interest. But they were immediately stunned. In the past, Little Nocturne would try his best not to show his face in the live stream, or he would use the special effects of the live streaming software to cover his face with a cartoon avatar. But today, for some reason, his face was shown. In the camera was a boy with a thin figure and snow-white skin. The side of his face was delicate and smooth, like a handsome young man who had walked out of a manga. The most eye-catching part was his hands. His fingers were long and slender, with distinct joints. They were so white that they were almost transparent, but they were wrapped around an old red rope. Following his movements, white and red intertwined, as if it had a bewitching power. The fans. Where did this little angel come from? Debut online. Oh my god, Nocturne's looks are so good that she can kill a lot of idols in the country. Her hands, her face, her piano skills. F***ck. Why does such a beautiful young man have nothing to do with me? After a wave of flattery from the fans, they realized that the serenade seemed to be an accompaniment for someone.